Okay, let's continue on here. I thought I was going to hear some nice Aussie slang, but I guess not. I was hoping to hear maybe a few oi, oi, but no, nothing like that. Okay, we have one for the MSU loadout, everybody. We have one Luke's up to the north, P4. Luke's down to the south. Auspice, of course, is favored to be captured by the Axis. A little bit easier approaches into the strong point. They have the 4-story or the 3-story. This building right here is going to see a whole bunch of action. We have 1, 2, 3 stories inside of it. This is where the Axis tend to get a couple bodies and maximize some cap weight to help avoid artillery and all that kind of stuff going off around the circle. The Allies are going to be trying to solidify some positions right here behind this house. This house for them, unfortunately, is not... Oh, hold on. Truck snipes, baby. We got something going on, baby. Nope, don't think so. I think we're all good. Everything looks okay for both sides. Transport truck down to the south. Now, the Allies don't have to deal with a cemetery defense. A little bit of positive there. Supply truck over there to the back. No snipes, it seems. Oh, these are just random shots on the P4, I think. I don't think these are tricking me. Flynn riding up on top. Oh, Flynn decides to jump off. Okay. The doctor riding on top of the other truck, and they're going to make it across here. No, the driver gets popped, I think. Oh, there we go. Okay, but it's good for them. It's good to see the drivers always just keep on going no matter what. It's always good to see. Rockets from Zombie over there. Nailed that Blueberry. We have a Stewie over here in the hard cap. Yeah, progress goes still in favor of MSU, though. Very good split north to south. One recon vehicle down to the very, very bottom. And another Greyhound over there. So he has a couple recon tanks on the border, maybe watching for any surprise movement. Everything is up to the top, though. No midpoints. Everything is up on map edge. Gonna switch things up a little bit. We have a transport truck coming over here to the back with an engineer tyrannical going right away for the SPA. And Taser, let's go see how Taser reacts to this. Transport truck. Oh, tyrannical immediately jumps out, places the satchel on. Oh my gosh, what an opening play here by Tyrannical. Very heads-up play, takes the transport truck, knows that the enemy's going to be loading their SPA up to the front line. Somewhere in this, around here, to launch shells towards Hospice, and he just gets that on in. And Tyrannical is going to get himself an opening Baba Badooey here on the Brumbar, everybody. Should be going off here in just a few seconds. Tyrannical. There we have it. 30-second satchel is placed, and the opening SPA gets taken down. Very nice play there by that engineer. Okay, camp progress goes back in favor of 9PZ. Rocket comes in down below and takes out the opening P4. Puma up here to the top. Nice clutch rocket. The opening 75 is up alive in Pizza Slice. I believe to have one Blueberry over there to the back. Shard Wizard. But the 75 is nothing to fear for Shard Wizard. Carhartt. Chief McGee over here to the back. Wow, can 9PZ get this? Two Stewies over here rolling the circle. That's going to be a mega amount of cap weight here. And nothing from MSU has gotten inside. Yeah, and the Axis looked to be going down 2-3 off the opening. Wowzers. Good opening plays here by 9PZ. I haven't seen Hospice capped by the Allies off the opening in a little while. Good play. Good opening. And once again, taking out that SPA off the rip was, I think, helped out a little chunk as well. Alrighty, so now the MSU will set up their defensive line. Another SPA spawned on in. Panther 4 coming up to the top. Supply truck rolling around to the bottom. The line looks pretty stable. The squad lead's heading out from the front door garrison to reestablish the front line. There we go. Okay, now we can go and do a test, Osiris, real quick.
Test.
There we go. Perfect. Osiris is showing up. Let me go ahead and remove my camera from the bottom. There we go. So we don't have a little duplicate of me. Make sure that's okay.
There we go.
Going okay, everybody. Welcome to this Smithers Talks Live. We have no delay today. There's not a 30-minute delay. Just want to let everybody know, as opposed to usual, we are live. We'll just got to get a little bit of 30 seconds to get for the information to get over to YouTube. But I am your host, Smithers, and I am joined here with Osiris. Osiris, introduce yourself to everyone who doesn't know you, buddy.
I appreciate the introduction, Smithers. I am Osiris. I started streaming here recently for the OSCL Winter War League, some scrims, so you might have seen me recently on YouTube myself. But yeah, I've been a competitive Hell Let Loose member on the console side since the beginning, really. Have been in about technically 4, but really I've been in 3 different clans and played 50s, and now I'm helping out with PZLD, playing 30s and 35s, which has been honestly a nice, refreshing flip to Hell Let Loose, because it really is almost a completely different game, even though you're playing the same maps over and over again. So, but yeah, no, I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me on, Smithers.
Yeah, sure thing. Osiris is the part of PZLD that I always commentate to say how PZLD is playing so aggressively, with half tracks being placed on 4th point while they haven't capped mid yet.
Why you gotta call me out like that? I mean, hey, do what you gotta do.
What you gotta do.
The most exciting in my game, part of my game, as a commander.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, when I think of transitioning from 49s to 30s and 35s, one of the things I talked about last weekend, I think you were watching last weekend, was that in those matchups you have so much more open space. It's impossible to form what we call in 49s a line, really. Map control, all that kind of good stuff. And in 30s, you have to respond to all the different fires, just everywhere and anywhere in order to make that just make the game viable. And I love seeing how 30s teams just respond to all the different threats. I bet that's probably the biggest difference for you.
Yep. There's a lot more. I think I commented on L201. They're real ratty with their backline pressure, and it works very well in 30s, 35s, and 40s. 49's a little bit harder to get away with that kind of stuff, so I did warn them about that. But no, it's it is. It can get very out of hand very quickly, and honestly, in my opinion, it makes the game more exciting, because I'm sure you streaming some of these 49 games where it's just like they're in a line, the line moves back 10 feet, moves forward 10 feet, whereas in 30s there's just much more movement. You get some crazy tank plays, stuff like that. So
I mean, personally, I in 30s I just feel you have so many good moments. I mean, I can't tell you a 30s game that was really. I know, of course, you're gonna have your occasional 5-0 and stuff, but there's so many different things where, like you said, it just creates a lot of opportunities for players. There's no true front line. You could see those big spawn bombs come on in at any point. It's something you're collapsing back.
I will plug a stream of mine in. If you want to see the shenanigans of 30s or 35s, go watch TFMC versus 9PZ. Sorry to 9PZ, but I mean just back and forth all game, and TFMC came out with like a last 5, or it was actually the last 12 minutes of the game where they just were hard charging into point, and I'm just losing my mind trying to keep up with all because there's rockets going every direction, tanks are getting blown up, and they're all rushing to try to get back into position. Bombing runs are coming in, and it's just one thing about 35s is that everybody counts more than 49s because, 1 out of 35, that's a higher percentage than, 1 out of 49. So it really comes down to, in the lower player count, that every kill can matter. One guy getting 2 kills could be the difference.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Osiris is a new streamer recently who's dipping his toes in the water of HL, or the competitive HL world, and he'll no doubt be growing his subscriber base very quickly with the amount of games he's taken on. He's approaching my insane ability when it comes to dual streaming, and potentially I think he has to still do his first triple stream, or triple header. Still have to do your first? Okay, still has to do his first, so it's okay. He'll get there. He'll get there. The record is, okay, so how many did I do at one time? I think I did 4 in a row. Yeah, 4 in a row.
I think I actually remember coming into your stream once, and I'm like, with respect, I could hear it in your voice. Just shot. And when you talk about the insanity of this game, I mean, my wife, she has grown to love it because she has no choice. but yeah, no, you are an absolute beast, Smithers, which makes it even more of a. I'm even more honored that you'd even put me into the same category.
Oh, you're trust me, you're going to be up there real quickly. I have a good feeling. You're going to say, "Hey, Smithers, I just did 6 in a row. What do you think?" And I go, "Whoa, Cyrus, 6 streams in a row. There we go, buddy." Yeah. But okay, we'll go ahead and start talking about the main topic for today. As I have received, along with Osiris here, requests from certain teams to talk about how we can improve. We're a new team starting out. What do you think we should do? What do we should watch out for? And we wanted to put together this sort of live stream here on Saturday morning, and obviously it can be viewed anytime, but to help out new teams. And Osiris and I have been through the rigmarole when it comes to competitive drama. And yes, there is drama in the Helios. There is a lot of drama. You may hear about some things, but man, some of the DMs I receive about topics I should investigate, or should I get POVs of this player or that player, it's crazy. I appreciate the concern that people have out there, but this is more going to be on the macro level about overall team structure and what you should look out for if you're starting a new competitive team, or maybe you're in the midst of a team, or you're in the team that's struggling with the issues, and you could use some of these to help you out. Okay, sort of a introduction there, and then of course, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in chat, and we should be able to respond to you. Once again, Osiris and I have a lot of experience when it comes to competitive Helios teams, and I'm sure we should have some type of answer for you, or of course, maybe somebody in chat will. Well, she says 30s is such an unpopular matchup. Lots of space to move around. Yeah, I wish it was more popular, but I can see players going from 49s and being bored with 30s in a way. But yeah, but teams that are used to 30s, they love it. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and or let's just trying to make sure we have to figure out what is best for all HO comp. I don't even love myself, Osiris. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to monitor the chat.
Yeah, you're good. Okay, let's go ahead. I'll just start blabbing away. Okay, we have we have a few slides here I'll talk about when it comes to competitive Helios teams. The first step will be competitive HL team basics beyond the frags. Once again, it's not just about shooting, everybody. If it was just about shooting, then a lot of the teams, the competitive Helios teams, both on PC and console, would still be alive and well today. I have seen dozens of teams collapse and players go to this team or that team, and we have to think beyond the shooting on the front line, what goes on the back line. Mature leadership has to be number one in my books. What do we think about when we say mature leadership? Well, pretty much every Discord you go to for a competitive team is going to have a list of guidelines, community rules, that kind of thing. Hey, these are the things we sort of stand by, and you should see the team management follow those same rules and not break those and sort of be a role model, if you will. Okay? If you start to see a leadership that is not following through and they let a lot of things slide. They let their friends say things, toxicity, maybe some crazy gifts that aren't really appropriate slip on through the Discord. Everybody has their fine line when it comes to what they perceive as being okay, but the leadership of the team should be the go-tos. They should be the role models, whatever you want to call them, but you have to have a mature leadership. If you don't have a mature leadership, then it's going to reflect on the rest of the team, and the rules and regulations are going to fall apart a little bit, and then everybody's going to be saying, what are we doing here? Why are we here? Okay. And also to approach or difficult situations with that level of maturity. Let's say there's a player that maybe has had a little bit of what can I say this, outbreak during games and said this, said that. Well, in most situations, you want the leadership to be able to look at that and go, okay, well, don't just have a rash decision right off the bat and say, okay, let's just get rid of them. Well, let's talk about it and let's figure out what happened, and maybe we can help prevent that situation from happening again. Those are some of the things that come to mind when I think of mature leadership. But Osiris, what do you think what comes to your mind?
I mean, you hit a lot of the nails on the head with what you need out of leadership. The other thing that I think you need out of leadership is all like when you talk about like the gifts or like even like with the toxicity that happens in chat, even if it's towards other clans, like I'll come in and cut that out, because even though the toxicity is outwards, as soon as you say you had a bad string of games, you got guys playing on a position, you take a couple of losses, those types of conversations will then come inward, and and I talk about toxicity like it's a disease. I am very outspoken. For anyone who knows me, I will absolutely just cut right through the BS and say potentially some pretty rough things that people may need to hear. But the reason for that is that if you don't, it's like playing defense. If you have a small couple of guys in your back line and then you don't address it, it's going to turn into a problem and you're going to lose. And so that's how I look at toxicity. Other things that out of leadership though is when it comes to accountability, if you're the armor commander or if you're the infantry or the defense or recon or whatever, if there's a bad game or whatever, just make sure that you're focusing inward with your accountability. Like, what could you have done better? Mm-hmm. It really does put a good message off. There's been plenty of times, I'm sure you've made a mistake in a game as a commander where maybe you made an all-in call, or you maybe asked for a reset when you shouldn't have, and it's like, hey guys, like I screwed that up. Yep. I'm sorry. Like, just let's try to focus on learning from our mistakes, whether it's in game or on Discord, and continue to progress and become a better clan. So, but yeah, mature leadership. You got to make sure that you nip stuff in the butt and always try to have a good community overall.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the accountability part is so true. If somebody messes up during a game, you can't just you don't call that person out. Trust me, I have known tankers to make bad plays during a game, and they feel 100 times worse than you're gonna feel about their whatever play, whatever the effect they had on the team. Because as Commander Osiris just mentioned, I have made plenty of mistakes, such as not having enough manpower for reinforce in the final 5 minutes of the game. I have mismanaged the resources and been looking at my commander abilities and going, oh my God, I don't have enough for reinforce. And just frantically trying to figure out, okay, what if I convert this and convert that? And maybe I do this, do that. And it's so funny because I'll wait for... There's a few people that I don't know if they're watching, but that have said with maybe a couple minutes left, like, "Hey Smithers, do we have enough for reinforce?" And I'll just be like, "Oh no!" So it's we all make mistakes, and it's one of those things where each one of those times I just was like, "Yep, I'm sorry guys, I didn't manage correctly. Let's just try to hold this." We did, but still, it was very scary as commander. Dunny 229 says, Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Smithers Dunny here with the console's best HL clan, LGN. Welcome to LGN, man. We're excited to have you. Now. I have not declared for any team. Don't let Dunny mislead you. But thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. All right, let's see what else we have here. Best part of us having Osiris as commander is he's very blunt about it. Hey, there you go. There you go, Osiris.
Call it like it is.
Call it like it is.
You have a question right underneath that, though, if you want to go ahead and read that one off.
Oh, yeah. What should members of the clan do when leadership is struggling? Yeah, so that actually leads perfect. Oh, thank you, Matt Klein. It's almost as if we paid you to ask that question just perfectly. Yeah, it's a perfect segue into the next part here, support system. When it comes to your teams, I've seen this time and time again, but you do not want to rely on just a few people to do everything. I'm going to give probably one of a very clear example for those teams out there. It's going to be when it comes to strat sketches, preparing for the match, and then the roster development, okay? You do not want to have one person saying, oh, because this is what happens when you join a competitive Hell Loose team. There's an initial surge of like, oh my gosh, I'm in competitive Hell Loose. This is so cool. That's the initial. You're up here. It's a nice little roller coaster you're going to go on. You're like, oh my God. I'm in this. This is so cool. I want to do everything possible. Okay, I want to do strat sketches. I want to plan this. I want to plan this AT gun spot, this truck snipe. Okay, there's this initial surge, and then there's a peak. Because, for example, when you do all that prepping and then your team loses, you go, oh man, what am I doing? You have a little thought about what am I doing? And then that happens again and again, and then eventually you burn out. You want to identify those people on your team that are doing way too much, even though they say it's fine. They're going to say, I'm fine, I'm good, I could do this all day. But then they're going to burn out. I literally have not seen one person not burn out. Not one person. You have to make sure that the roles more people want to take on work. Hey, for the strat sketches, plan out SMDM Pierce Farm. You plan out AA Network and you plan out Dugout. And then you sort of talk all together to adjust. You have to make sure that that's being managed by multiple people, and then the roster is being built by multiple people to say, okay, tankers, you're in charge of tanks. Defense, who do you want your defensive roster? Offense, who do you want there? Okay, you should be able to build that out and separate responsibilities that way. But I'll let Osiris speak on his end. What he wants to say there.
Yeah, I mean, burnout is real. And I can't tell you, there's one guy in particular that back in the BZRK days where even though he had the support system there, he couldn't put it down. He just could not put Discord in his phone down, and he burned himself out. And when there was the fallout of the clan falling apart, he's like, well, I did everything. And it's like, dude, like I literally sent you DMs like, hey man, you don't have to be on here 24/7. So there is that side of it where, like, if you have the support system, use it. At the same time, I will say leadership. So I like to have basically like your core leadership. And then they have like a senior member that they can rely on if, say they need to take a week off, or, they have a wedding to go to, or, real life stuff that frankly may pay the bills when no one gets paid for this. At least I don't. But making sure that you have enough people in leadership to manage what goes into a clan, but you also don't want to have too many people in leadership, which is that's what happened in my first clan. We just had way too. I think the phrase is not too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I don't know if that's politically correct, but hey, I'm native, so I'll say what I want. But no, but yeah, it's like we would have these hour and a half, 2 hour long meetings, and everyone's just spitting out ideas. But there was so many opinions that nothing ever got done. So that is something that you need to watch out for. And then also, as in leadership, there's nothing wrong, especially if you're a server owner or you're a senior ranking member of your leadership. Sometimes you're going to come across people that just aren't a good fit. And you have to have it. It's a tough conversation. No one wants to tell someone, hey man, like, we don't really want you in leadership. But it's better to get those people out of leadership early if they're not a good fit for everyone else around them, then to potentially just let, overall, that I'm more talking about toxicity, where they're not really contributing to leadership as a whole, and then it causes infighting and you start having all these problems. But yeah, no, just making sure that, like for PZLD, like, so I do the strats. There's one other person that does the strats, that's Nugs, for the most part, and we feedback off of each other. And then, of course, we do reach out to our infantry guys, especially our armor, say like, hey, like, this is kind of the lanes we want you to play in. I'm on this strat sketch. I put you here. If you find a better spot, like, let me know. And then they'll be like, hey, like, that's a great spot. Or, they'll turn around and give me some feedback and we can adjust. And the last thing I'll say real quick is, if you are in leadership, no matter what your role is, be willing to take feedback and try to grow from it. At the same time, you're also going to get some guys that, sometimes you get people that come into your clan that think they know everything. And it's like, hey, man, like, you've got 800 hours in the game and I'm, crossing 3,200. And I appreciate you. You got to tell them, like, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But what you're asking, and then if you really want to, you can explain, like, if we do this, here's the domino effect of X, Y, and Z that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
So, but I'll leave it there. So.
Yeah, you're fine. A big word or the big phrase that I really like is constructive criticism. I mean, that's if you're gonna. I mean, I offer constructive criticism to quite a few players over the past, as far as like, hey, I think in this position you could have done this a little bit differently, and this would have caused this effect or that. Because it's always important to, because like I said before, the players are going to feel really bad about something that they did, more than you could ever imagine. I've been there. Like I said, with the reinforced example as commander, I know I messed up. And there's nothing, nobody could feel as bad as I did in that moment. But you want to approach it with a level of initial, like, hey, man, I saw you did this, and this is how I think we can, maybe approach this a little bit differently. But constructive criticism. Yep, constructive criticism. Okay. But yeah, don't try to be the champion of the team. You're going to wear yourself out. That's the main message there. You want to, and then if you are not that person, you want to be sure to identify those people so you can help them out and literally force them to help out. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions in chat here. Let's see here. We talked about Matt Klein's question. Who are you, John? Hierarchy kills teams for sure. Sir, he came to HL Brazil and seen a level of toxic. Yeah, toxicity. We'll touch on that here in a moment. A little bit more in depth way. It's ego that kills teams. Yeah, ego's a big part of it. Yeah, you gotta lose the ego a little bit, especially. I mean, I don't know. If you're one of the top fraggers on your teams, you see that in the stats constantly. You should always. You should at least try to point out, like, hey guys, here's what I'm doing that can help out the rest of the team. Don't just be, I'm the top fragger, I'm going to look for a new team, this team sucks. Try to help other people move up, or how you can help them. Just keep thinking about that way. Let's see what else.
JZ801 has a question.
GZ801. Wish I could highlight questions a little bit better. Where's the question at? Oh, JZ. Okay, SmithersCast, should a clan roster base? Oh, yeah, my levels. I got my microphone right here, so I can back it up a little bit so it's not as overpowering versus Osiris's. Let's see. JZ. Okay, SmithersCast, should a clan roster based on KD or game IQ? Okay, that's a good question. Rostering is probably one of the most difficult things when it comes to a competitive Helios team, because you have a mix of things. You have people that you've played with for a long time that you don't want to hurt their feelings for benching them. There are players that have to, whenever you have a team that you're bringing on a whole bunch of new people, one of the core parts to every person on a competitive team should be to put the team first. You should never be that sad about not being rostered. Of course, everybody wants to play, but some teams, they're playing 30s and they get a signups of 40s. Everyone should have the mentality to be like, okay, I didn't get rostered, but I can at least maybe be available for the game should someone drop. I can't tell you how many times every single game has had at least one drop a couple hours before the match. Every single game. There should always be spots available. Now for 30s, maybe not so much. 49s definitely, just because of the large. I mean, you're growing the possibilities there. But always have the philosophy like, okay, the best roster should be put together here. If I don't get rostered, it's fine. I'm just going to work to do better, and hopefully, or I can at least ask the person in charge of the roster why I didn't get rostered. What can I do to improve? Once again, constructive criticism has to go all the way around there. But yeah, back to your question though, KD versus Intel. What I like to think about when it comes to roster building, for your defense, you want to maximize KD. Now, Cyrus, I'll turn it over to you here in a second though, as well. But when you have defense, KD, because your defense should be saying, okay, I just got to stay alive as long as possible, because your teams are min-maxing off defense. You have maybe 3 bodies on defense roaming about, and they have to win those frags. They got to win those engagements. They're going to stay in a hedge, look out for the enemy, win their gunfights. So KD on defense, maximize that. For the front line, you got to kind of think about KPM, but you don't want to maybe focus on KPM in your meat grind units. You want to focus it on the peripheral units, because you're going to have a meat grind unit that's just dying the whole time. Don't put your best fraggers in meat grind. You want to put your average to a little bit above average fraggers in meat grind. And then your best shooters on the sides, we're not going to be spending most of the time on the redeploy screen. At least that's just my opinion. Tankers tend to be, for a roster build out, pretty static. You don't really have that many new people jumping into tanks. It's usually a fixed sort of position. Now, your tankers should encourage new tankers to train them and everything. Maybe get them one in a gunner seat, driver seat once in a while to help train them, be ready to go, because someday your tankers may move on to a different team or just stop playing, or maybe need a break. You never know. But then commanders usually fixed. There's only a few spots when it comes to commander that people want to play, or people want to play commander. That's usually okay. And then artillery is another one of those. But you should always have depth to each one of the positions. If you'll notice in my Helios matches that I sometimes stream them, because it's good to give other commanders practice. Like you're not going to want to be available for every single game, because maybe stuff will come up and you're not going to be available. But you want to have depth in your roster, but then understand with the players that are available what makes the best roster possible, and don't always prioritize friends over doing what's best for the team. But go ahead, Osiris. Turn it over to you.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to use AA network on SMDM just as the basis for this conversation, because it's going to give a little bit more detail as to like how I would look at a roster. Definitely want above average shooters in your back line. I don't necessarily, personally, I don't put my best shooters back there. I'm also in a smaller clan, and so it's the depth. You talk about the depth. It's like, there is, when you're in these smaller clans, the fall off is much more steep than it is when you have a clan of, you got 130, 150 guys that, 75% of them could drop 80 kills in a game, no problem. Whereas on 35s and 30s, you just don't have that kind of depth. So what I typically do, and like I said, using SMDM AA network, is so you have 5 points. 5 points is the key to AA network on SMDM, at least in my opinion, which I think a lot of people would agree. But so I'm going to put a lot of my top fraggers on that side of the formation, especially if they're good AT players. That's another thing. Like, if you're not the best shooter, but you can get good with the rocket, dude, like that trumps shooting all day long, because there's ways that you can mask your gunfighting issues and whatnot. But for those players that aren't necessarily the best shooters, like, there's other things that can be done in the game. Thinking even back when I was in EXO running 49s, my defensive lead, he was an average shooter or whatever. But like, if I needed something done on defense, whether it was rep stations or building, level 3 bunkers and putting rep stations inside them or whatever, like, I could count on him to get that done. Yeah. And so, like, when you have players that maybe don't have the best map awareness, those would be your meat grind, maybe your middle defense, stuff like that, to where, like, they're kind of just in this more of a narrow lane of responsibility, whereas your better IQ map awareness players are going to be out on your flanks, they're going to be out on your defensive flanks and stuff like that. And then I saw someone with a great comment, pairing, if you have someone who's got great map skill, but then they have a fragger who maybe not have the map awareness, and pairing them in to the same squad together. I mean, you know, I I don't SL that much because I'm a commander main, but when I have SL'd, like I would say I'm a slightly above average shooter. But what I'll do is I'll just make sure my OP is in prime spots all game long, and I'll let my fraggers just go mow people down,
Yep.
and then I'll just protect the OP.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, because if they go down in front of me, well, then I'm just going to stop and wait for the problem to come to me. And while I'm holding them off, my guys are redeploying off my OP, and now I have my fraggers with me again, and I go, ha, good luck,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, it's always a great feeling when you're an SL and you're protecting your outpost and you let the blueberries go off and do their thing. You see how successful they are because you are able to keep your outpost up for a long time. It's always a good feeling. You're like, all right, go guys, go. They take out a tank. They, get 4 or 5 enemies or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's always a good feeling. Okay, let's make sure we're not missing any more questions here. It's a lot, chat. Let's make sure.
Did have one from Dunny that's not necessarily related to the stream, but that's who's your pick for next season in Summit?
Smithers, Mon Petit Pony says Smithers burnout stream yet. Yeah, surprisingly, I have not burned out. There were a few streams, I think a couple months ago, where I was like, oh my God, I'm on hour 8 of streaming or something. Or I've talked because that's the thing is I'm trying to, because for those of you who don't know, I do voice acting as well. So beyond streaming, I mean, it's all about using my vocal cords as much as possible over the course of the day. And it's always good practice for me whenever I jump on the stream to use those skills. And I always have my iPad right next to me where I want to use different phrases or maybe focus on this, that. And it's a good pairing to what I also do beyond Hell Let Loose. And that's why I think I have avoided the burnout as some other streamers may have in the past.
You got to enjoy it, you got
to have fun.
I've had a couple of streams where it's like I only have like 5 to 10 viewers. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm here because I love the game. I love the community.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is that when I first started off, it was exactly the same. I had 10, 15 people watching me, and you just can't pay attention to that, because if you pay attention to that, it's going to get into your brain. And you're not going to want to stream anymore. You're like, oh, wow, 10 people just watched me. Great. Why am I doing this? Well, you're just starting out. No one starts a business that makes $10 million the first day. There's no business in history that did that. But it's one of those things where if you stick to it and you focus on it, and if you really want to do it, it'll show. And that's why I always try to find, if you notice during my streams, I try to zoom around and just try to find funny things that are happening. I'm not always focused on who's winning the most gunfights. I want to find, hey, who's driving a Jeep around? Okay, let's go see what they're doing. Hey, look at that. They're having a little bit of fun. You got to have fun with it, because then your audience will get that vibe. Okay, what other questions have I missed?
I got you. It's so this will be from of course I say I got you, and then I lost it. Hold on.
I appreciate all the questions, everybody. Everybody is very active this morning, which is good to see.
Yeah, here we go. Matt Klein 9014. In fact, if you don't mind, I'll just moderate, and I'll ask the questions when you want to move on to the next one. But we have Matt Klein 9014. As a new player to a clan, what is the best way to voice my concerns? I want to step up, but I also don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing. Okay, well, Dunny, thanks for another super chat, Dunny. Smithers, Dunny again. Who's your pick for? Oh, this was the question you referred to earlier. Okay, big fan. Keep up the great work. So, I mean, for seasonal or for Summit, I am I'm interested to see what the new 49s teams look like, because LGN obviously lost a lot of players. I'm looking to see how that split out goes, because obviously LGN has been a pretty dominant force. Although the Taco Hurricane Forest match was interesting. We all have to admit that there were a few plays that if they would have played a little bit slower, could have changed that entire game towards the end there, because that was a very interesting end. LGN obviously responded to the backline play by Taco pretty well, but it was chaos. I kind of want to go. I got to go back and watch that game again just to see what maybe could have been tweaked a little bit differently. But there were a few plays. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there were a few plays where I think the adrenaline rush in the final minutes got to them, and they played just a little bit too aggressively when they could have played a little bit slower and had a much bigger impact. But that Taco came really close to beating LGN, at least capping. I shouldn't say beating, but capping in the final few minutes there on Herkinscar. For next summit, though, I want to see how these other 49 teams shake out, because I'm a little bit unclear who's going to be disbanding and forming up with, who's just a temporary 49s team and going into summit, and who actually will be merging together and going into summit as a 49s team. There's a few that I've heard about. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll wait to see when the final submissions are made. Okay, the next question, Matt Klein, you said?
Yep, which was, as a new player to a clan, what is the best way to voice my concerns? I want to step up, but I also don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah, so you want to find somebody. There's got to be somebody in the management that you trust in a way. There has to be somebody you could send at least a DM with and get their feedback, because I can understand totally. Trust me, when I first started joining a competitive clan and I posted my ideas in the general chat, I just had some crazy ideas about doing this or doing that. I didn't get any responses because I didn't have any seniority. I wasn't a good fragger. I was an okay fragger. And everybody looked at me, let's pay attention to what the top fraggers have to say. That's just how it goes. Until you get a level of seniority and people have seen you around so much and seen what you could do, that's just the way. So you want to find somebody that you trust in the management team to relay your opinions or thoughts and opinions over to, and see what their response is. And if not, you'll have to obviously go find somebody else and try to figure out, okay, who can I work with that has a much level more respect in the team or seniority, or everybody knows them, that kind of thing, to offer my opinion and see what we can do with it. What do you think, Osiris?
I mean, not only basically everything you just said, but to add to that is, coming into a new clan, regardless of how many hours you've got in the game or whatnot, really just get in with the guys, start, especially if because a lot of times when you join a new clan as an infantry guy, like, you're going to be constantly just be getting plugged and played. Because typically when you're a newer player, it's like, hey, you're on reserves normally, but we don't have enough people to fill these slots, or like someone calls out, like you said, and we need someone to fill. And so you just start building the rapport with the different leadership guys, maybe the more experienced SLs in the game, and you can start just having those conversations in green chat in the game, and then building that relationship, like you said, where it's like, hey, like, I tend to like play with more games with Smithers, like, hey, I'm going to send this up to Smithers and see what he thinks. Because if you're a senior member or an SL, or really anyone that's been in the clan for a while, like, if someone comes up to you with a good idea, I mean, pass it up. I mean, just pass it up, because it may be a new way to look at things, especially for clans that maybe they don't have the most experienced players or the most experienced leadership or even the most experienced commanders. It's like, they don't necessarily think about some of these things. And so it's like, if you were the one that brought it to their attention and then they passed it up and it becomes implemented, they're going to be like, oh, like, this guy actually knows what he's doing. And then they're going to start coming to you for more, not necessarily coming to you per se, but like, if you say something, it's going to hold more weight because you've built that rapport and the ideas that you've come out have built that success.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where in the beginning it may suck because you don't feel like you have a voice, but then over time it becomes pretty cool, not gonna lie, because you all know me, I've commanded a whole bunch of matches, and eventually in Helios it was one of those things where if I wanted to modify a strat sketch and literally changed how everybody was opening the game and how we were playing, it felt pretty good to finally be able to make those decisions. You eventually get there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and Let's see
On to
here.
the next one.
Yeah.
We had where was it? This is from Gangster Gumbo. What is the most needed position in competitive usually? I'm level 420 and have been thinking of trying competitive. I'll let loose.
Sorry, where's that? I lost it. Where is it at? It's
That's Gangster Gumbo. That's
Gangster
right
Gumbo.
above Mon Petite Pony.
I think I just got to click on channel activity, right? Yeah, I think I just got to click on this. What is? Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, competitive. I'm level over 20. I've been thinking of trying. Oh yeah. I mean, the most needed. It's going to depend on the team, really. I mean, if you want to start off at fragging, then yeah, every team. If you're a really good fragger, every team will take you and just plug you in the front line somewhere to just kill. I mean, that's very. But if you want to go beyond that, then a lot of teams need SLs. There's not that many that want to play SLs. I mean, and then those that are playing SLs would love a break to go play infantry. I mean, I know as commander, my sort of dessert is to be able to play defensive infantry just because I could go around and put mines down and look around and maybe drop a support box here or there. And it's just much more relaxing because you're not in command chat. You're just doing a very focused job versus when you're commanding, you're all over the place. You can't take, there's really no time to relax.
No,
so
not at all.
it's one of those things where some teams need armor, some teams need squad leads, top fraggers. If you're a top fragger, any team will take you, but you got to be up there. You got to be, I mean, what would you say Osiris's average kills per game in a competitive team for a console at least?
I mean, if you're running 45s or 49s, I would say anything. I mean, top frags are usually somewhere around the triple digits,
Okay.
90 plus.
Yeah.
But that's like top. I would say if you can drop over 65 to 70 kills in a game, that's going to put you in 90% of the rosters.
Okay.
If you're playing 30s or 35s, it's more like if you can get over 50 kills, in a match, I mean that's going to put you in like out of all the players like on the stats pages that you get after the match, that'll probably put you in the top 20 between both clans. But as I talked about, these smaller clans don't necessarily have the depth, so just even getting over 45, I mean like that they're going to be like, yeah, like let's get him out there as soon as possible. But other things that you can also do in regards to not even just fragging, but like um, if you're considering getting into competitive, you already touched on squad leads. If you have good map awareness, be a squad leader. Like you said, guys need breaks. I actually just had a conversation because we do a monthly check-in with our guys, and one of them was like, "Hey, I know you need me as squad lead. I don't. I want a break. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like he needs a break." So like if you can bring that to the table and give someone the opportunity to give a break and be more of like a flex player, with some games you're killing people, some games you're doing logistics, and some games that you're doing SL. Having that flexibility is great. If you're in armor, work on your long distance shots, work on your tight window shots. Especially on maps like Kursk where you have the different hill elevations, the TC can see the target, and you can actually launch your shells through the wheat and over the crest of the hill. So if you can get good, get together with your armor TC or whatever and be like, hey, I want to practice shots doing over the hill. And if you can get good at doing that kind of stuff, or rocket snipes or whatever, like focusing on the niche stuff, if you're trying to get into it, is a big plus. But most importantly, I would say flexibility is key. Coming in and saying I want to just help out is the best thing that leadership can hear, in any clan.
Mm-hmm.
So
I heard something interesting you say, Osiris, and I think it'll help out with our main topic here today with check-ins with your various players that you said, and one of your SLs said they would like or do something different. So can you talk to what the general thing over at PZLD then is when it comes to checking in with everybody?
yeah, so I want to say we do it once a month. It might be once every other month, but pretty much we schedule So in our server, so we don't do ranks. I'm going to say that right now. If you're doing ranks, stop it. Stop it with the ranks. It is all that does is create more work for everybody, and also creates possible fighting issues because I didn't get promoted to my, internet first lieutenant role or whatever. But yeah, as a veteran, like, there's nothing more cringe to me than fake rank. And I'm sorry for clans that do it. I'm not trying to call you out, but it's just not worth it. Anywho, to answer your question, yeah, so we do this once every month or every other month, like check in with our guys where we say, hey, you know, you have this role where you're a senior member. Hey, senior members, like, we're doing a senior member meeting with upper leadership on Sunday at 6 o'clock. Like, please be there if you can. If you can't talk, that's fine. If you need to get with me offline and maybe air some frustrations, or maybe talk about some things that we've done well, or just like, we talked about, like, I'm tired of doing this. Like, can I please do something else? Because just like in the real military, not to go like away from the fake rake stuff, but like your senior NCOs or your sergeants in the military, like, those are the ones that you need to care for, because those are the guys that are going to take care of the new players. They're going to take care of the guys that maybe they just want to play the game. Maybe they don't have as much time to be on Discord or whatnot, but they are still a valuable member of your community. And so those senior leaders are going to have a better gauge of what's going on underneath. So you can check in with them about not only their, overall mental state on what's going on and towards the clan and competitive play, but they can also give you a temperature check of, maybe some things that they've been hearing in game, or, because there's a lot of things, especially in the heat of the moment when people are getting pissed, or, people are even having fun. Like, there's things that are going to be said that, would be beneficial to know about as upper leadership, that, especially as you would know this, like, as a commander, like, I'm not in green chats. I'm not in prox chats. I spend 99% of my game driving around in a truck, just dumping boxes wherever I can. And I'm nowhere near the front line. I might be there, like you said. I might come in to help out defensively from time to time, but if I'm not in a half track, I'm driving a Jeep. If I'm not in a Jeep, I'm driving a truck. Like, those are the three things I'm doing. I wish there was a stat to how many miles that me and you have driven in this game, because I guarantee you we could probably put that on our resume if we were ever going to go get our CDL. But, just having an overall vibe check at least once a month, if not once every other month or once every 6 weeks, is a really good idea, and that's something that every clan should be doing to promote growth, and also to let your lower guys know that you do in fact care about their opinions, and you care about their well-being inside of your community.
Yeah, and then and kind of like in the NFL, how they have the tracker for the next gen stats. It'd be cool if we had like a little thing while we're driving around in the truck, and be like, "Oh my gosh, he's on mile 500 or something," right, going around the map.
Brought to you by Amazon Prime.
Yeah, like a little Amazon Prime sticker on the side. Hey, there we go. Hello, Luce. There's some in-game advertising that possibly we could do. There we go. Amazon Prime. All right, let's see if there's any more questions at the moment. We talked about what is the most needed position. Support an AT without, really. Okay,
there we go. This is from DN Cent, right above Dunny and between Mon Petite Pony. How do you guys see the console comp scene at the moment and going into the future with Vietnam around the corner?
Yeah, the comp scene at the moment, by general feeling, is that a lot of teams are sort of like, oof, man, we played a lot of Hell Let Loose World War II. There really hasn't been any game-changing updates, and we're ready for something brand new. But we'll play Hell Let Loose World War II a little bit still in the competitive scene, but not as much as we did before. Now, granted, though, there are a lot of competitive players that want to play during these weekday matchups. I mean, we have the Monday night matchup. We have Taco Tuesday. We have Wednesday Means War. Thursdays, I don't know of an event on Thursdays, but there are competitive Hell Let Loose leagues popping up still. I just don't know if the recruitment is, I don't know if it's a more of a mix of just veteran players that want to play versus new recruits that want to get on the action. I think there's more of the latter the former when it comes to veteran Hell Loose players that just want to keep playing and playing and playing versus a whole new mix of people. I think that's more of it. And it's a good time though to get involved in competitive Hell Loose World War II because you're going to be able to learn the basics of the game, and then when Vietnam comes around, you already have a pretty good knowledge of it, and it won't take you. The only thing you'll have to learn is the only thing, but you'll have to acclimate yourself to the new weapons and the abilities. The maps, garrison, outpost strategy should relatively remain the same. Just the maps obviously are going to be all different. You have to readjust everything. What do you think, Osiris?
I mean, yeah, the real issue here is, I mean, we as the comp community are the one keeping this game alive at this point. The level of players that I am seeing in pubs, and it's nothing against you pub guys, but like it's really hard for me to play pubs because I come into a game, it's 20 minutes in, there's one garrison on the map, guys are not really like they're just not playing the game, and I hate to put it like this, but like they're not playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. And so when you have these clans that are trying to start up or whatever, I mean the player level is just not all there, which is even more important. And we'll get to this in a bit. I know we're going to get to it later, but it's even more important that for you 30s and 35s clans, that if you are going to be bringing people in from pubs, is that you have a solid base for whether it's your strat sketches or making sure that everyone that knows me, I'm a micromanager. I will over explain things, but the reason I over explain things is because when you have these new players to the comp scene, I have no idea. I mean, the guy said he's a level 420, and I'm sure he knows how to play the game, but there's plenty of high level guys that have come into a clan, and I'm like, there's maybe some things that they may not be aware of. And so that's when I go ahead and over explain, and if I just explain everything, well then they whether they pick up on something or they pick up on a couple of different things that can potentially make them a better player, well then that's just going to make your clan better overall. So the player base is pretty rough to pull from for those smaller clans that are coming out. And but I think what you said was great with we need something new. Should I plug it? Should I plug it in, Smithers?
What's that?
If you want to check your DMs real quick, should I plug it? Don't have to. I was trying to ping.
Oh yeah,
you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So talking about something new. I'm actually myself with some insight from Smithers. Now it's not he's just insight, but and a couple of other veteran community members. We are creating a new league called the Hell Loose Championship Series, and it's going to have a different format than all the other leagues out there. Trying to be respectful of, we got the summit coming up. We have the end of World Winter War League happening, and trying to figure out. We have no idea what the release date is right now for Vietnam, so we're trying to be respectful of everyone. But because one of the other things you got to be careful for, and I'm sure we'll get to this too, is talking about burnout. But there's also game burnout, where you have multiple leagues going on at the same time. You guys are running back to backs every weekend, and it gets frustrating, and players get tired, and especially in these smaller clans when you can't necessarily fill the roster out as much, and then you're asking them to play. Everyone's got lives, everyone's got families and stuff. But yeah, so I'm getting a league created. It's most of the legwork is there. I just got to finish up a couple of things, and we'll get that server opened. But last thing I want to touch on, those Smithers, that you said something great. This is a great time to get into Hell Let Loose competitive. If you are not a competitive player, it is winding down towards the end of World War II before we go into Vietnam, and getting your feet wet now, getting a feel for the game, so when Vietnam does come out, that you're not coming in, with a white belt, so to speak, like you have no idea what's going on when Vietnam comes out and the game pops off. So getting in now is a fantastic time for you non-competitive Hell Let Loose players.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Perfectly said. What the question over here by crap? Did I go off? Oh yeah, Jay-Z. Osiris and Smithers, how do you get better at fragging? You don't want to watch my videos. My videos are not about fragging at all. My videos are command related and just overall strategy. You want to watch players like Saber Gas. I'll be able to post this link in the chat here real quick. Let me actually. I would have to 1 second. Let me see here. Oh, I think I know. It's on my Discord. So in my Discord, you'll in the educational resources, you'll see Gas's video linked up there. So you could check out the Discord link in the video description. And once you join and become do the whole thing, you'll see the educational resources on the left hand side. There's a player I've linked his video. Gas, and you'll be able to check out his channel. He's a really good fragger. There's also Valhalla on the PC side. On the console side, does anybody post I don't know if anybody from the console side posts their POV fragging videos.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. If what you could do is they have that Hell Let Loose Records website. If you can go look at the ELO, where you have your players listed in ranking of, what their I think it's their KPN, because I can't remember. It's KPN. No, it's dual strength. So I don't know if you've seen this, Smithers, but it's like a whole records. Like you can look at what your support score per minute is, like all not all your previous games, but you can look at previous matches, and it's just this overall stat sheet. But they have a thing called dual strength, and it is basically like, if you kill someone that has a higher dual strength than you, then your dual strength will go up. And then if you're constantly getting killed by players with lower dual strength, you're gonna go down. So it's supposed to be this metric. Yeah, okay. It's just like this metric that should give you an idea. It's not perfect. I know they're like moving things around in that Discord server and on the website. But I would, just off the top of my head, like I said, I have no idea if they stream, but guys like Rig Doctor, of course, as soon as I start thinking of this, I can't come up with the names in my head, but definitely go check out that list and try to find some of the top fraggers, and then maybe try to see if they stream on Twitch. But if they don't, I'll just give a little touch on ways to become a better fragger is maneuvering. There's way too many times that I see guys that if you know that you're about to come into enemy contact, or like you're pushing a point or whatever, stop sprinting. Be ready to shoot. That split second where you have to stop sprinting and bring your gun up to ADS, and someone's already just waiting for you because they know that you're coming, you're just going to get shot in the face every time. So maneuvering properly with the squads to your left and to your right as well. And also you got to adjust your controller settings. My controller settings are really slow, but I run a higher non-ADS sensitivity in order to snap to target. But then my ADS is really low, so that way when I do snap to target, things slow down for me and I can actually land my shots. And the last thing I'll say is when you go into pub matches, ping your distances before you make your shots. So that way you can start getting used to, okay, so I pinged 200 or 250, and this is how far I'm having to lead a target that's going left to right, or this is how far I'm having to lead a target, whether it's, aiming high to account for bullet drop or whatnot. So start pinging before your shots in these pub lobbies will really help you determine distance. So when it comes game time, you don't have to ping anymore. You already know, like, okay, that's roughly 250. And last time I tried to make this shot, this is where I aimed. And then you can put your shots down range from there.
There you go. Perfect. A question from D's. So rosters need depth, maybe even players that might not be rostered consistently. How do you keep those members happy? Depth is important when you have no shows, which does happen. Which players rosters need depth? Maybe, yeah, the players that, I mean, how you keep those players happy, you make sure to mix up your roster when it comes to official competitive matches and leagues versus scrimmages. Players that aren't rostered in official matches should have a chance in scrims. Scrims obviously are there for practice. You just want to try new things out, maybe a new armor strategy, a different garrison, outpost network, how you lay out your initial formation. Scrimmages are the perfect opportunity to get players that don't have had really a good chance in official matches and experience on the team. Now, I think a good mix could be a scrimmage on a Saturday and then the official match on a Sunday, or just 1 and 1. I wouldn't go really beyond 2 unless you have an amazing amount of signups. I'm talking if you roster 49s and you have, I don't know, 90 signups or something like that, 80 signups, then you have a lot of extra turnover, because you want to avoid the burnout, but you want to give people experience. So you got to find that fine balance on your team. But I would, put those players that don't get a chance in official matches in scrimmages. Make sure to prioritize them, mix them in however you can, and then in official matches, if they're able to, see if they qualify, depending on your team's requirements, to put them in those matches afterwards. But at least get them experience in scrimmages. What do you think, Osiris?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much spot on. I think the only thing I would add is that, be humble about your clan's skill. If you know you're playing a team that maybe isn't as good, maybe you can play some of those players that aren't normally rostered. I mean, you don't necessarily want to put in all your backups and, have guys SL that have never SL'd before or stuff like that. But, use those matches to get these guys comp experience. And then on the flip side of that is also, as a player, if you know you're not as skilled, do understand that when it does come time to play these tougher matches, like one, for example, I can think of was when PZLD played 27th. We knew that was going to be a tough game. It was a tough game. GG's the 27th, if there's any of those guys that were in here. But we played our best. And so if you don't get rostered when it's the best of the best games, like, don't take that as like we don't appreciate you. It's just, it is very important to get your wins, especially as I've talked about, in the 30s and 35s, where you really can't afford to lose, because if losses start piling up and guys aren't playing the game the right way and it's not a good experience, you don't have wiggle room for those losses. So understanding that as a player who's not in leadership, that may not get the starts, at that rate, you just got to, I go back to get good at rocket snipes, get good at logistics plays, being the guy that's dependable, being the plug-in guy. Hey, you guys are short on armor. I can do armor. And if you've proven to those armor guys that you can play armor, I mean, they'll be like, yeah. Like, hey, let's get him in. And then that just gives you more opportunity to play.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Warpig asks, what's the schedule for this year's leagues? This is my first year playing. Oh, the schedules, there's got to be, I mean, I'm thinking about doing something, at least in my channel, where I list out all the schedules for the different leagues that I know of, because we have, if you look at my Discord, I posted all the leagues for console and PC, and you'll see the console, there's Winter War League, Off-Season Competitive League, Winter War League, Off-Season Competitive League, TPL, Summit, DMT, then you have the Road to Glory, and you have Osiris's league coming up, and then there's 2 other leagues that I know. That's 10. Okay, I'm at 10. 10 active leagues over the course of the year, and obviously there's going to be no way for them to all be their own little separate thing. They're going to have some overlap, which causes conflicts between teams. So the schedule is pretty chaotic right now. We have Winter War League, Off-Season Competitive League. The next one people are waiting on is Summit, which I think it starts in April sometime. I think that's the current layout. But yeah, there's always something going on. That's the thing, is there's always something going on.
Yeah, if you're on console, you can DM me, join Smithers server, and my name is Osiris, just Osiris. If you are a console player, I can try to direct you, because there's also some smaller leagues that aren't, that are UK based. There's smaller leagues that are, US based, and so if you're wanting to just get your feet wet and not commit to like the craziness of some of the bigger leagues and the bigger stages, and you want to have more of a casual experience that you can at least get a feel for it, more than welcome to ping me, and I can get with you offline after the stream.
Okay, next question we have Oh, the Rage-O-Matic says, truth right there, Smithers and SL's wanting a break from that, but still in pubs we get stuck in it. Yes, it's very true. And it's funny when you go into a pub match and you wait for a squad to be created and you look at it and go, oh my God, nobody's creating freaking squads, bro. Oh my gosh. That's so true. That's so true. That's a very, yeah. Commander is overwhelming. If you ain't chain smoking, you ain't doing it. Yeah, exactly. So when drama hits, even if it doesn't involve you, how do you decide? Matt Klein asks, so when drama hits, even if it doesn't involve you, how do you decide when to jump ship? We'll touch on that question here a little bit. Let me just keep that question over to my right side or my left notepad here. If I have I can just paste it right there. Okay. Oop, don't want to do that. Okay, we'll keep going here. Player choice. If you aren't, did we try something else? Door is always open. Yeah. I mean, most of the time, and when you leave a team, the door is going to be open unless you do leave on bad terms. Some teams hold grudges and they don't want to. They don't want anything to do with you afterwards.
As you said, we'll touch on that a little bit in a bit.
Osiris, a question for you. What are your thoughts on logistics, and could you speak to the importance of having good support players?
Yeah, first of all, I got to give a shout out. That is my one of my best friends, Mr. Moose.
Okay, got you,
buddy. No, yeah. So appreciate you for the softball question because I. Every clan I've ever been in, and this touches on what I talked about. If you're not the best fragger, like what other ways, like, building rep stations, building bunkers to give new fighting positions that maybe it's a wide open space on the map. I did a Rage versus 27th stream where 27th built a bunker on the south side of Yamki on the top of a hill, and I got this excellent clip of they were getting pushed from Yamki, and two MGs ran in there, and I was over the shoulder of both of them inside the bunker, and they're just lasering rounds, and I loved it. I love the MG plays, but that MG play doesn't happen without logistics. So every commander style is different. Me personally, though, like if I don't have a support score over 5,000, that's not a good game for me. If I can get closer to 6, then that's a great game, and that's kind of where I hover. So running those boxes for rep stations and bunkers and keeping up your garrison network, putting down backup boxes for if you lose your point, you can have your boxes preset. So you can have your garrison network go up quickly, so you can have your SLs and your infantry actually focus more on the fighting aspect, because you really do want them fighting as much as possible, but you need to have the logistics there in place for games that are leagues that allow flares. Having explosive boxes, like, sorry PZLD, I'm going to call you out here, but we have a real tough time with guys dropping explosive boxes near recon OPs, and so once my garrison network is set up and I'm happy with what I have based on the flow of the match, I'll get into a Jeep and I'll run those boxes. Because I mentioned it earlier, but there's ways to really help out maybe your guys that don't have good map sense or that aren't the best fraggers. Well, if you're flaring the entire line, you already know where they're coming from, so that's going to give you the advantage of how much maneuvering that you can do before you got to stop. It's going to let you preset peak corners, so abusing the left lean, right lean mechanic, because you are, and I think it's left lean is invisible. I have to double check that, but you can abuse the lean mechanics and stuff like that. So, but I've seen it so many times where clans that don't prioritize logistics, they may get their garrison network up to start the game, but then a couple go down, and then no one's putting them down, and then now your line is being funneled smaller and smaller and smaller into the one or two garrisons that you do have, and then you just get collapsed on. Every time. So yeah, logistics is key in this game. The last thing I'll say is my famous saying that I tell everyone is that you don't build a house on shit foundation. Pardon the language, but that's my saying. So you gotta set up the logistics. You got to set up the defense for the attacking forces to properly succeed.
Yep, 100%. Fantastic points. Dinset asks, Let's see. In my HL clan experience, I have seen that the focus of clans shifted exclusively to KD without recognizing the individual quality of players. I think that simple approach kills a lot of clans. Yes. Now, this is a part that you have to. Unfortunately, a lot of roles, there are no. Or how should I say this? How should I say this? There is no way to really track it. Let me give an example. You have a player that is. You say, hey, can you go support on this squad? Boom, they redeploy, go support on that squad. Hey, can you go on AT on this squad? Boom, they redeploy, go AT on that squad. And then hey, can you go back and check out this area? And then can you check out the border over here for a couple minutes to make sure nobody's sneaking around? Then they'll get one frag for an enemy SL that's managed to go into the back line. Those are the things that you have to have some level on your team where the SL's in charge of a certain piece, or maybe just a defensive lead, whatever you want to call it, speaks on behalf of those players to say, I mean, there's a player on one of the first teams I played on, Forbidding. Now, Forbidding is still in Glow's Battlegrounds Discord, and I sometimes see him in game. But Forbidding was a fantastic utility player. You have to have some sort of utility metric on your team to say, hey, this player will do literally whatever we ask him, whenever, and they'll do it in a pretty damn good way. Okay? You have to have those key utility players because they're going to come in so clutch in so many different ways. He may not be the best fragger, but he's going to do the best he can in this situation, whether it be dropping supplies, expo ammo, running back and patrolling the back line, making sure everything's okay, has great communication skills. You have to have some sort of pull on your team to say, hey, these are our top utility players. Let's always keep that in mind when it comes to filling out roster spots. Of course, every team is going to have really good fraggers, and you want to put them out there and make sure they're in a good position to succeed. But you're also going to have those hard to quantify utility players. You have to just, as a team, you have to come together and put them on a list to always refer to them as, hey, don't worry, they're doing a good job, even though they don't show up in kills, support, or maybe they'll show up on defense, of course. Maybe on defense, like a really high defensive score. But just make sure to keep that as part of your mental or your evaluation system when it comes to your roster decisions. But very good question there, Densit. Very good question. Or we Fresbo, you need to spend 15-20 from the practice range shooting dummies and then go into a sweaty public server for a couple hours. It'll take time, but you will consistently get better. Yeah. I mean, you'll consistently, 100%. 100%. I mean, I started off as a defensive infantry player, and then I moved up in defensive SL, and it just, you'll eventually get better. I'm practicing my Viet Cong accent and tunneling skills. Yeah, exactly.
Where is it? Never mind. I don't have it.
You're good. Let me see.
I actually do have a question for you from me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you said you started in defensive backline. How did you actually? So, I mean, my story is I started commanding from like day one. I got to like level 11. I watched the YouTube video on how to command because I was tired of going into pub games and commanders not doing what needed to be done. Because I am a control freak. Everyone knows that. So how did you what drove you to get in commanding?
Oh, I mean, I have a big background in Hearts of Iron and Company of Heroes. So okay. It's one of those things where I like watching, I like being a part of the big, like the overall big strategy. Picture. Yeah, the big picture stuff. Yeah. I love being a part of that. And Hearts of Iron, for those of you that have played that, you're managing a country and what they do during the war and everything. And that's always really I've enjoyed that part. And then Company of Heroes, it's the same way where you're it's an RTS where you're looking at your army and you're moving units here, over there, and you're developing your map strategy, and you're working with your teammates to figure out what kind of overall strategy you should have for units. And that part of, I think, really goes into the whole commanding thing for me. And then plus I like being like that, and just being responsible for the team and how we shift. Because I also play chess as well. I like to see how the pieces on the board move around, and I get to sort of do that and hell let loose, So it's like, okay, I'm going to move the Baker squad up here, so I'm moving this pawn or moving this bishop over there, and that makes it kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because I grew up playing StarCraft and
Okay.
StarCraft Brood War, so that was my first dive into RTS, and then of course that expanded to Age of Empires, the original Warcraft back when it was a more of a real time strategy game than an MMO, and
Gotcha.
Command and Conquer, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like I can hold my own in a gunfight, but just like you, like I feel like where my love of the game really just comes from when you, especially, and there's no other game that does this. There is no better feeling as a commander, especially if you're the strat guy, than coming up with a plan and watching real people react to it. And you see, like, there's this one particular, we were playing an LL Amin, and it was mid was north, and we curled our attacking line in from the north and had two tanks coming down the hill. I mean, it was like the most perfect. I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better. And I'm just like, yes, yes, get that into my soul. Anyways, I'll stop there. But yeah, no, I'm glad we're cut from the same cloth, is what it sounds like, and we're nuts.
Yeah, exactly. Just watching the map and how it develops and the map control as it comes, in, but then also during really intense matches. I mean, if you watch I think a really good example from my end is watching. You could see the ESP or Helios versus WTH on Kharkov that we had a couple months ago, or the Helios versus ESPT matches in my Commander VODs, and how you're just watching the map and watching the line shift, and you could tell. What really sucks as commander sometimes is you could tell who's losing the gunfights, where we're getting pushed back a lot, and there's nothing you could do, but you could just watch the blueberries die off one after another, and you could see the line being pushed back a little bit, but then up to the north, maybe it's coming back over, we're gaining ground, and it's this cool shift that you get to see throughout the map. It's really fun to me. It's really fun to me. Okay, let's see what other questions we have before we move on to the next topic here.
We have one from Winston Churchill. Will the comp scene die when Vietnam comes out, or will it migrate? It's a pretty straightforward question. If I'll just answer it. Definitely going to be a migration to Vietnam. Leagues are already, TPL, for example, has now paired with the APL, which is now being called the TPL for PC. So you're going to have the Premier League for both console and PC side that are they're not doing another season. From my knowledge at this time, things may change because as of right now, I think Vietnam's going to come out in the fall, if not by Christmas. So the TPL, not knowing if they can squeeze in another season, is just planning for the migration over.
Yeah, I would say that it's going to be from a streamer standpoint, it's going to be very interesting to watch, because you're going to obviously have, I don't know, 200,000, 300,000 new players come into this whole scene, okay? And it's going to be this weird sort of fishbowl where we're all going to be floating around, and who's this team? Who's that team? Who's this player? Who's that player? We're all going to be shifting around a little bit. And then I'm excited to see if there are going to be any new Div 1 teams that come in and shake up the scene, new Div 2, Div 3, and just to really shake, because we all know the teams and where they should stack right now, but then you're going to have this huge influx of players, not enough teams, obviously, to roster all of them, which is going to lead to new teams, and it's going to be very interesting to just see the shakeup. I mean, is there going to be a new team that comes in and 4-1's Legion in a game, 5-0's Legion in 60 minutes or something like that, and Legion's going, wow, what is going on here? Who are these people? Or something. Yeah. I think that's going to be pretty neat. And then from a streamer standpoint, obviously I get to reach a new audience and seeing who comes on board, maybe different play styles, and then all the new environment. But to directly answer your question, Churchill, and be sure to check out Real Winston Churchill's channel. He's one of the top meleeers on PC. He has plenty of great clips on his channel for sneaking up behind enemies and everything. Plenty of good clips he has. But yeah, so you want to think about the fact that all these new players coming into Vietnam, but then they could hear about World War II, and you'll have a little bit, maybe a 5-10% sort of, not backwash, but players going over to World War II to check that out, and because they never heard of Hell Let Loose. A little bit of mix right there, but then most of them are going to be in Vietnam. And then, so there's going to be this new scene, Vietnam, a whole bunch of new teams, new leagues, new games. And then, I think after a little while, you'll see players go, oh, I kind of want to check out World War II again. And then they start playing World War II, and there's going to be this sort of back and forth effect between both sides that'll eventually find its little equilibrium as far as that goes. I don't think all the World War II players will jump ship, because I think in Vietnam, there are going to be some abilities, some modifications that they'll move over to freshen up World War II. And then after Vietnam, it's going to be the Pacific. I'm almost 100. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say 80% sure they're going to move into the Pacific after that to bring in the Japanese and American forces over there, and of course New Zealand, Australia, all British, all that kind of good stuff. I think that's my expected transition for how it will go in the future.
I do apologize. I did miss Mike E.
Mikey,
9439's question.
Where's he at?
He is above Churchill's. Says, when you guys say KD, are you actually meaning KPM? KD should never even be considered in a game like Hell Let Loose. I'll let you touch on that one.
Mikey, so when I talk about KD, I'm talking about mainly for the defense. At least in my opinion, you should focus on players that are able to win their trades, or if not, just equalize it to the enemy on defense. Now, on the front line, that's not going to matter, or anywhere else really out the map, just specifically on defense, to emphasize those players that are able to just stay alive in the back line. They don't need to. They could just patrol certain areas, kill who they need to kill, and then move on to the next area. That's mainly the area where I think where you should evaluate KD is maybe one of the big factors. Beyond that, though, not really too much.
Yeah, I'd just like to touch on that. I'm with him by saying that KD is not the metric necessarily, but going back to like AA network on SMDM, like 5 points is everything. And while KD is not necessarily the most important metric, you do want to have guys that are more than likely going to be able to kill 2 guys per life. Not necessarily having a 2 KD, but like, if they can finish with like a 1.2 KD, I mean, that's not crazy, but like you can't lose 5 points, so it's like to at least be able to hold off the enemy push on the more important sides of the objective. Sorry, mouthful there.
You're good.
That's really the only time that I would also look at KD is like, you don't, we're talking about fragging and stuff like that. Well, you don't want to put a guy that can't shoot he can't shoot. Don't want to put him there and potentially lose 5 points. And if you lose 5 points, you're most likely going to lose AA network. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll touch on that.
Okay, let's see here. Parking Lot Bacon asks, why can't video game players withstand losses? Is it because nobody played sports, so teams fall apart with 2 losses and drama starts? Yeah, it's sad to see when a team loses a little bit and then players jump ship. Be like, oh, okay. But there could be multiple reasons going on in the back line, maybe in the background. When it comes to maybe they know of toxicity within the team and they don't want to be a part of it, and they see how the teams handle losses. There are some players I've known in the past where if a team loses, they are full of toxicity, and we got to get to that topic. Oh my gosh, we're hour and a half in already, Osiris.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. So
yeah, we have to move on from slide number 1 here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll try to briefly answer these.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you got to find, I mean, those players are going to fall out no matter what, because they're not mature enough to handle the losses and want to stick things out through the team as they grow. I mean, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, so it's almost impossible for me to leave a certain team unless the team is no longer exists. I'm going to be a Cleveland Browns fan for the rest of my life. Like, there's no way I can switch over and be like, oh yeah, I'm a Patriots fan or I'm a Seahawks fan now. It's just not possible. You're not going to feel the same way. And now, granted, as Helios, so it went from G13 to GXV to Helios 1.0. We moved over to TL, then we're on Helios 2.0. Helios 2.0 taking a break. We'll most likely form Helios 3.0 or some other team name. That'd be the 6th team I'm a part of. And to me, it's nice because there's the same core group that I'm with. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's fine. We'll get through it. it's not like we're losing millions of dollars for all this. Granted, you lose a game, but hey, as long as you have fun and there's like a core base there. But Cyrus, you want to touch on that real quick, or?
Yeah, real quick. And we forgot to actually answer a question from previously talking about when to jump ship. So this kind of touches on that. On the flip side of losses, it's like, well, how did you lose the game? Like if you come into a clan and you're looking for a good experience, I mean, my first comp game ever commanding, we got rolled in 20 minutes. I mean, that's not fun for anybody. So kind of take that into consideration. But for those guys that, whether it's after a loss or not, like when's the time to jump ship? And my overall answer to that is when you're not having fun anymore. I've done it myself where, I was in a clan, was having a good time, and then I was no longer having a good time. And then I didn't really want to open up Discord at one point. And that's when I'm like, you know what, like I need to go find something else. And for you leadership guys out there, if you have players that are like, hey, like, this isn't really a good fit for me. Anytime someone has ever said that to me, whether they're in my clan or they're in a different clan, I'm like, hey, like, you know what, if you don't want to hang out there, you don't want to hang out here, like, here's a list of a couple of clans that I know that might be a great fit. You're going to get more playtime or whatever. Like in the end, no one gets paid for this. So if you're not having fun, find a place that you're going to go have fun. So don't necessarily leave after a loss, but yeah, I can totally understand. Like if you're just getting steamrolled, 3-4 games in a row, that's not fun. So, but we'll stop there because we, like I said, got to get to the the next stuff.
And then, so I think we just have one. Let's see. We have TR Bull that says, "What's the one mistake you see new players make the most?" Oh, I think the biggest one is not doing what am I saying here? When you're asked to do something during a game, do it immediately. Don't hesitate. The biggest one thing is going support. Go back to this OP, that OP. Go on the all in. Listen to what the command chat is saying or what your squad lead is telling you to do, because you don't want to. Unless you're in some type of situation, very specific scenarios where you're about to take out an enemy garrison, you're taking down an enemy airhead, maybe you're satchelating a tank. Those are very extreme, maybe in the 1%, 2% situations. Most of the time, you're just roaming around and somebody says, hey, I need you to go support. You go, oh, well, 1 second. Let me, I just want to walk around here a little bit, see if I do something. And then 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes go by, and your team still needs that garrison. Go do whatever you need to do right away, unless it's some extreme circumstance. Just do it. Just go support, go AT, whatever you need to.
Yeah, especially, and I'm just only going to say this, especially if you are a defensive flex squad and you get called back to defense and you don't go back to defense, that 2-3 guys that were in your back line, if there's multiple SLs among them, well, it's not just 3, it's 18.
Yeah,
because they're gonna get behind you. And you can't push a point if your backlines aren't clear.
Yeah.
So if you don't come back right away, that could literally be the difference to killing these SLs and keeping those OPs out of your backline, and then going back to focusing on the front line. So
yeah, 100%. Okay, let's see here. Make sure that we'll just move on. Mahalik says, a chess player. Smithers, what's your opening move in chess? I have experimented with a few things. The Sicilian defense, the hippo. The hippo was a lot of fun for me for a long time. I'm still trying to figure out how to move on from the hippo. For those of you, if you know, you know. But let's go in here. Descent, parking lot bacon. Thanks, brother. We'll set it. I want to make sure no questions there. Tactics don't get points. Coming prepared and trained either. That's the bigger picture I'm talking about. Silent rage. I have an aversion to playing comp. I've lost a lot of friends to burnout from them playing comp. Yeah, I mean, you have to watch out for the burnout. I mean, you got to recognize when you need to take a break, because it could be very toxic. Big Dog 97 says, what's the best way to tell if your team you joined is recently a good fit for you? What you should be looking for to know it's a good fit? You gotta. I think we'll touch on this more a little bit, but the big things I think about when it comes to being a good fit is you're able to laugh and have fun, joke about certain things. You're not going to get along with everybody, but you want to have players that understand, or when you have a good chat with them during the game and just have a good time. You want to find people, or a squad lead, a good group of people that you just have a good time with. You're able to crack jokes. Maybe you meet a funny guy that you want to be around all the time, because at the end of the day, you want to have fun. You're not in this to You just want to have fun. You want to have fun. You want to make sure if you're having fun, then that's your number one sign that you should stay. It's a good fit for you. If you hear a lot of toxicity, like we touched upon already, and you just don't feel good about it when you're playing, then oof, man, you want to think about, okay, maybe I should think about joining another team. And then Parking Lot Bacon says, you all are doing a great job with questions and dialogue. Thanks for doing this. Oh, no problem, buddy. No, appreciate appreciate the love, bacon. Bacon sounds delicious right now. Maybe we should have a stream where we just eat bacon and talk. That'd be pretty good.
I'll have a griddle on my desk.
Yeah, exactly. Just flipping bacon the entire time.
Yeah. Cooking up some strats with Smithers and Osiris.
Yeah, exactly. That's when we got to get smell-o-vision. That's when we get smell-o-vision. Yeah. And we'll have 8,000 people watching us for the smell of bacon. Okay. But yeah, next on the slide here, next person up philosophy. I put this on, as we touched upon a little bit already, but you want to always be, if you don't get rostered, just understand that the team has a next person up philosophy. And then if somebody drops, hey, you're the next one up for this position. And never to only favor your friends and just want to roster them. You have to be open to the idea of getting everybody into the mix to keep the team alive. That's why I wanted to put that up there for this talk here. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Tips for competitive teams: understand your skill level. Okay, this is very, very important. As Osiris has already mentioned, when it comes to losing multiple games in a row, your team's going to get, obviously, if you lose 5-6 games in a row, your team's going to be like, what is going on? What are we doing? It's either A, you're not prepping whatsoever. B, you're shooting way above your skill level. A Div 4 team is trying to scrim a Div 2, Div 1 team each time, and you're getting your ass kicked. Yeah, don't do that. There's going to be a wide disparity of skill level in Helios. I mean, the console TPL last season had 9 divisions. 9 divisions! And I think they all worked out pretty well. I mean, just from my casting, I think everything was pretty well balanced. There could have been a very few exceptions, but for the most part, it was pretty well balanced from all my streams. It wasn't like a team 5-0'd every single team in their division. I don't think that happened. Well, LGN, obviously, been Taco, top of Div 1, but you're going to have that in any league. Anyways, you want to make sure you're scrimmaging against teams that are on equal or lower skill level. Lower skill level because you're not always going to have your best roster for scrimmages. You're just not. You're going to have players that look at the scrimmages and go, okay, well, I could skip that one. They can let somebody else play. That's just like, I do that too for scrimmages. I say, I'm going to focus on being around for official competitive matches where we could get eliminated out of a tournament, or I want to and take a break from scrimmages and let other people have a chance, get some practice in, because maybe I'm not available for official match, which has happened. There are a few that stick out in my memory very sorely that I'll never forget. But the important thing is you want to understand your skill level so you are getting some good practice in, some long 90-minute games, and to not always try to be like, oh, we could beat this team, we could do this, we could do that. I have seen messages in the past where certain people in the management will say, oh, we're going to beat the crap out of this team. We cannot lose. Don't say that. Don't say that. Just say, hey, everybody, let's have a good game. Let's get some practice in. Don't come into it like, oh, we're going to kick their ass. What do you think, Osiris?
I mean, yeah, you lead with confidence, not arrogance. So that's always go into every game like you want to win it. And when you do win, make sure that you take note of the things that you did right, even the things that you did wrong. And then even in a loss, be humble enough to, take a look. And especially in leadership, if there's like, hey, frontline infantry, like you guys weren't in your lane, like to the infantry commander or however you guys have your leadership set up. It's like, we had a couple of guys that weren't in their lane, like what's going on? So when you get that kind of constructive criticism, make sure that you take a breath, don't necessarily lash out and so on and so forth. But the other thing that you can also touch, like Six, for example, I mean, they're a Div 1 team. They started out, and I'm pretty sure they did nothing but scrim for like months. I mean, we don't have that because of the time constraint of Vietnam per se, but I know back in my BZRK days, Gentle created 3-5, and they scrimmed us every Wednesday. We agreed to not 5-0 them, and I mean, we beat the crap out of them for like 2+ months, 3 months, and then all of a sudden, I think the first time they ever beat us was on Kharkov, and everyone in our leadership was like, what just happened? Like, and that's growth. So like, if you are a clan that maybe doesn't have the best skill level, as you make your relationships, throughout other clans, maybe find someone that you can confide in that's going to be a good source. Maybe they're a higher skill level, and then you can start picking their brain, do some scrims versus them every week or every other week or whatever, and use those as feedback opportunities. So that way, like, you can turn around and be like, hey, this clan, like, what did we do good and what did we do wrong? How did you guys capitalize? And then you just grow from there. And you talked about not prepping and strats and stuff like that. I cannot tell you how many times I see a strat map and it's just like you have these blocks that don't have OP placements and kind of like the actual lanes where your line should be, because especially in 30s and 35s when you don't have as much manpower, that discipline to your lane and to the control that you need to have is only exacerbated because of the lack of manpower that you have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and plenty of great points there. Body 2 Hottie asks, do you think Nam will bring lots of established comp players transferring to different clans? To different clans, no. I think everybody will stay where they are. Now, if new teams pop up or new teams are popping up that have a lot of open roster spots, then you could see players from clans that don't ever get rostered move on over to those. I think that could happen. But my guess would be that most players will stick to their groups for right now and then see how Vietnam shakes out and see what they want to do after that. Okay. Next point, manage expectations. When you're entering a tournament especially, what you got to keep in mind is that most of the time, if it's a big mixed tournament like Summit, if you do really well in the opening games and you're a lower div team, just understand eventually you have to face those higher div teams. There's no separation in Summit. I think they're doing, I don't know if they have made an official announcement, but they may do a split as far as like the 49s and 30s, 36s or whatever. But you want to just understand that, okay, we're going to have a lot of fun in the beginning because we're playing teams on equal or lower skill level. However, once we get to those games where it's like, let me just use PZLD since we have you on the call, Osiris. But if, let's say in a hypothetical scenario, PZLD went up to 49s and you did really well in Summit, you started going up and moving on along, and then eventually it's like, okay, next matchup is PZLD versus Taco. It's one of those things where you have to have, touching on the next point here, you have to have a sense of humor about the situation. It's going to be brutal. You know that. That's the thing. It's going to be an absolute just sweaty fest. And you most likely will get 5-0'd. You may get 1-4. You may go to 1-4, but you have to go into the game in a pre-match briefing and just set the tone to say, hey, everybody, we're just going to have a good time. We understand the Goliath we're going up against. Let's just try to have fun. We'll do the best that we can, obviously, but please manage your expectations. We know the challenge that's in front of us. Go ahead, Osiris, if you have it.
Sorry, I got pinged in a message, so I was looking.
Oh, you're good.
Like you got a Rage Maniac. Let's have a hell of a match tonight. Yeah, good luck. May the best team win. Walshy's saying bring back BZRK and Void. Now, those are some names I haven't heard in a minute. Void was one of the bigger clans. They used to do, you'll love this real quick, I'll touch on it. So they used to wait in their spawn with their tankers and roll out with like 2 heavies, two mediums, and a full tank column. And this was before everyone kind of had the game sense that they had, but yeah, you'd be playing Void, and like for the first 20 minutes, like you're just like, God, when like we need to get, like you're just trying to get control of everything that you can, because you know what's coming at about the 25-minute mark. You're going to see 4 tanks come through the tree line, and then it's all hell breaks loose. So big shout out to Void and all those boys that were back there in the back of the day. That was quite the sight to see. But
that was before streaming, I'm guessing, on console.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was back when we had to burn matches because we had to, sift through the offensive games to get to the warfare games, and then if it was, it was.
Oh, that's right, because I forgot. Yeah, you didn't have any dedicated servers, and you had to jump in. I heard about those crazy stories where you had to jump in on just find a pub server, and just hope and
beg people to leave. Yeah, it was rough. But to talk about managing expectations, I mean, you're spot on. Like, you have to understand and be humble about what your skill level is. Now, one thing that you can do for leadership, though, prep, do the strat sketches, have very, very detailed instructions when you're playing these bigger clans, because these bigger clans that are, they're Div 1 or Div 2 or whatever, and you're, say, Div 4, Div 5, they're going to have the game sense that the strat sketch being detailed is going to give the players that maybe don't have that game sense. So the best thing you can do really is to be as prepared as possible. But then, like you said, just be like, hey, it's David versus Goliath on this one. Let's try to do our best. Stick to the strat, stick to the plan, stick to your lanes, and we're going to hold on for dear life on this ride. And, sometimes I've seen upsets happen. So it's possible. It's never impossible. But if you show up unprepared and without a good strat, then you're just probably going to get rolled in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, and you got to be able to make. I mean, the biggest thing is when it comes to having sense of humor, create memes out of the match. Man, there have been plenty of matches where I've been a part of or seen other teams that have made wild mistakes. I mean, I post some of the memes in my SmithersCast Discord from previous matches where. There was a Wix who is a commander or a tank commander, knows everything about tanks you could ever imagine, that created a meme a couple years ago for a championship matchup that we had. It was a playoff elimination matchup. We won the game, but in the final minutes of the matchup, he and the rest of the tank crews, they rushed forward 2 Panthers into the enemy's 4th point when they didn't need to. They didn't need to rush them. But they decided to push and try to make a play for 4th, and they lost both Panthers in about 30 seconds. They lost them, and I'm sitting there I'm looking at my map, going, "What happened to those 2 Panthers?"
Yeah.
And then all I hear in command chat is Wix going, "Hey Smithers, can you spot a heavy bottom when you have a second?"
Yeah. Yeah, no. There's one tanker that we had who I can't remember his name, but that dude lost 3 heavies before ever getting out of the first grid from HQ. And finally, I'm like, dude, what is happening? This is the 3rd tank I've given you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even know. And I'm like, oh, like, needless to say, he did not TC.
Yeah.
I think he actually left the clan the following week because he knew that he just was not cut out for the level of play that we were playing at that time. But yeah, there's. Hey, can I get a heavy bottom right and a medium mid, please?
Yeah, those are just the. I mean, you gotta, like I said, you gotta create memes out of it. You gotta have inside jokes. You have to make sure people on your team are willing to laugh at themselves. You gotta. I mean, like I mentioned the reinforce example earlier. You got to laugh at yourself, man. You make mistakes, and they're going to be hilarious mistakes. We've seen what's some of the ones we've seen where tankers have been paying attention, or the spotter hasn't been looking out for Satcheliers. 2-6, they're a great team and everything. They've improved so much, but there was a moment where they were transitioning to a new tank group or new tank style or armor style, and they had 2 heavies out in the open, wide open field on SME to the east of checkpoint, and they had both heavies get 2 satchels placed on them. My first double in streaming history. And the tanker, they were so focused on the enemy tanks that they both blew up, obviously, because they didn't know. There were 6 players rushing toward them. Yeah. And it's just one of those moments where you have to look back and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe we let that happen. You have to have a sense of humor, or else you're going to quit the game, right? You're going to rage quit. Okay, let me go ahead back to chat real quick. We have... I think I saw Braz buddy. Yeah, long live GXV. Braz was a player from GXV and one of the top fraggers, one of the top map sense players that I've ever played with. Just had a really good understanding about what needed to be done during a match. And always had really good plays with Braz. You'll see him on some of my Commander POV VODs, my older ones. And we have about time for TR to drop off, restart Berserker. Well, I heard. Now Berserker, I'm assuming, was one of the original clans, like from console.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's referring to. So I was the co-founder with Fubar, and a couple of other guys that. So we all joined DBRG. That was the match where I told you I got rolled in 20 minutes. We were trying to give insight to the leadership over there. They weren't really receptive, and so we created BZRK, and it took off with great success because we defended point, and this is before the average player understood like cap sector control. So we literally had 3 squads of 3 playing hard cap on our defensive point with MGs facing every direction and 3 infantry guys, and that was it. And so we ran like 30 infantry on the attack at all times, 1 on a wide flank, armor's up there, defense is literally just holding on for dear life. It was a blast. So I think he might be referring to Berserk, but I think there actually was a Berserker clan. I'm not 100% sure if there's a difference in those two.
Okay.
But yeah, BZRK was around from TPL season 1 for I think about a year and a half, 2 years before it unfortunately died off. But yeah.
Yeah, it's sad to see when some teams start to really fall apart. I mean, one of the recent examples on console was Merc, and there was also a PC Merc that fell apart. But I think I'm not too sure if Merc on PC is starting back up again. Let's see here. There's a little bit of so we're ready to move on. Okay, so we talked about managing expectations, have a sense of humor. Once again, if you have any questions, go and pop them in chat. We've answered a whole bunch today, which is great to see. A lot of great questions we were able to talk about. Let's move on to the next slide, though. Okay, tips part 2, toxicity and accountability. I feel like I could talk about this for a long time. We already touched on this a little bit, but toxicity, you want to get rid of players that have toxicity, or have a talk with them, give them a warning, and then if they keep doing it, just send them on their way. Toxicity will spread through the team like a virus, and it'll really bring the team down. I have seen certain players harass other armor crews or certain infantry players for doing stupid things, and it's not good because, once again, the player that did that thing no doubt feels worse than you ever can imagine about what they did, okay? That should be the baseline for what you should, when you think about... I didn't say that, Braz. I didn't say his name. But you want to be able to manage those toxic players to just get them out, because it's not good. I don't care how good of a fragger they are, they will infect the rest of the team. You have to be able to manage that. Accountability, this goes back to our previous point about the management of the team, to be able to have a high level of accountability to say, hey, we have to deal with these issues. We can't ignore them. You have to depend on the management team to handle those. And if they don't, then that's where it leaks into the whole idea of, okay, maybe I should start thinking about jumping ship, or what other teams maybe have a little bit better organization when it comes to all this kind of stuff. But you got to watch out for those toxic players, whether it be harassing other players for how they played, bringing up politics in chat. We all know about people who like to bring up politics in the Discord, and then it sets people off and it creates this firestorm. You got to watch out for that, unless you have some type of dedicated political channel where the people that are in there have a high degree of maturity and can have a rational discussion. From my experience, whenever you bring in politics to the general Discord comp chat, everything blows up. It just, people leave the Discord for a couple days and come back. It's craziness, and then obviously it creates a big crack in the team structure, at least in my experience. Yep. Got to watch out for that stuff. Go ahead. Talk. Oh, sorry.
No, that's, I mean, as if anyone in here knows me, I am very heavy-handed, probably a little bit too much. But if I see any sort of toxicity, like, I'll be the first person to really tell them to knock it off in a kind of colorful way, because it's just not, I mean, that's how BZRK died. I spent, me and you both talk about in on all of our intros, like, hey, like I've spent over 3,000 hours in this game. Like I cannot tell you how many hours of my life that I've spent on Discord, and it's disgusting. And so for you leadership guys that are out there, like, I already talked about it. It's like even if they're being toxic towards players that leave or other clans or something like that, like all it takes is a couple of losses, and the next thing you know, those toxic players are now mad at you, and it just creates this divide. It creates this fracture that you talked about. Um, so really try to manage that, keep that nipped in the butt, like have a competitive spirit. Yes, like some other clan may talk some smack about you, so you know, maybe you come into a game with a little more emotion, like, yeah, like, hey, look, like, not necessarily arrogance like we talked about, but like, yeah, like we're gonna F these guys up. Like, let's get to work, guys. Like, this is a big game for us, and then do the prep work, do the strat sketches and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you just you can't allow toxicity to exist. It just can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're in a new team and you're on the management side, watch out for it. And don't let it get out of hand.
Yeah.
D. Will says there's a line between competitiveness and toxicity. I rewatch myself and find myself a tad bit toxic. Some people are way over the top, though. Yeah, I mean, sometimes during the game, there have been a few times in the match where it would be a super tense moment where you're getting pressure on you're holding middle, the final minutes of the game. Somebody asks you a question, and you respond, but they don't hear it. Then they ask even louder. And I mean, I get it. Times are really tense. I think there have been 2 occasions in all my competitive matches where I lost my sense of my self-control.
Yeah.
I lost my sense of self-control. I mean, Widow was we went during a Helios match. I basically yelled at him to say, I forgot exactly what I said, but I remember yelling very vividly in chat. And I rarely yell, because I mean, everybody, I usually command, so I'm relaying directions, all that kind of stuff. But I lost it because it was just super tense moment. And Widow kept asking me the same question. I think it was the 3 times he asked me, and I was like, it's on cooldown. I think it said something like it's on cooldown, Widow, or something really loud. And the command chat went dead quiet for like 5 minutes because they're like, oh my God, did Smithers just yell?
Well, and being that I know, because I tried out for Helios, and it's like you have like 8 different comms channels. Like there should be no reason that player doesn't hear it either. So I could absolutely see you getting real frustrated to get the same question over and over. Because I mean, in console, we only have white chat, red chat, blue chat, and green chat. So yeah, there's going to be times where things get missed or whatever, and so that's a little more normal on the console side. But yeah, I could absolutely see you, like, dude, like, you have a dedicated channel just for you, and I can pop into it anytime. Like, how do you not hear me? Like, anyways, but
you're good. Sergio says politics and religion. Yeah, politics and religion. Yep, religion, another one. And I mean, if there's a popular or there's something going on in the world and like a hot topic, mainly that revolves around politics and religion. There are some other things though. If something major happens in the world, you want to watch your Discord and see what people are saying. I mean, they could talk about it a little bit, but you got to police it because you know how quickly it could blow up. Or you could always turn on slow mode as well. On many Discords, people turn on slow mode for an hour, 2 hours or something, just so people can relax and just chill for a little bit. Parking Lot Bacon says, what's crazy to me is that the HL community seems to idolize the toxic chuds. Have played a few games with the popular guys in the Discord, and it blows my mind. Yeah, I mean, there are some teams that have a very high tolerance because some toxic players are really freaking good, man. They get 100 frags per game, and the team is just like, I mean, but then other teams are like, no, get out of here. We don't care how good you are. And they'll obviously suffer on the scrimmages, but every team has their own type of risk tolerance when it comes to the toxicity level. So yeah, I know teams out there that are totally fine with it, and they're just okay with it. So that does happen.
Unfortunately, though, like the what bugs me the most about the community is that there is this lack of um, from the leagues themselves have a lack of accountability to clan leadership. Like if you have the same, you talk about there's certain communities that they're always the guys. They're always the guys that are, whether they're being racist or whether they're just, being toxic or what have you. Um, I would say that we would probably have easily another 300 competitive players if it wasn't for the toxicity in the console community that has been allowed to fester. I will name drop someone. You guys all know him from the console side, but his name is Virginia. I mean, that guy, he would just drop slurs, and the only reason he finally got banned was because he created an alt Discord account, to my knowledge, and tried to join the enemy team, or not enemy team, but like the other clan prior to a competitive matchup to try to get inside information. And like
Oh,
that's what finally,
gosh.
yeah, but that's what finally got him out of the community. But it's like how many people stopped playing the game because of him and players like him? And it's just, especially when, I saw someone say that updates, have ruined this game and stuff like that, because every time an update drops, like it, breaks the game or this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, if we didn't have the toxicity paired with that, like, those go hand in hand with players no longer wanting to play the game. It's like, well, I can barely handle the toxicity and now this game's broken. I don't want to be around anymore. And so it's really unfortunate. And I really hope that going into Vietnam, especially with server providers and sponsors starting to kind of come into the community, that these leagues do take a more firm action against these types of players.
Yeah. That's I don't know the story about Virginia, but I'll obviously take your word for it there, because
Yeah,
I
no,
know similar players on the PC side that have had the same level of just reputation, if you will.
yeah,
Uh, Mahalik says Virginia's a menace.
well, he really was.
Okay, Tony says the most annoying part of comp is all the D1 teams poaching players from the lower div teams, so they never truly grow. That's why LGN and Taco dominate every season. Okay, this was a topic I was actually messaged about to cover, was poaching. And poaching is an interesting, because I mean, I've seen a lot of players poached from a lot of teams, and it's I'll just say this. There has to be an underlying reason why a player would want to leave the team they're playing in, if that makes sense. Let's just start there. If a player is playing on a lower div team and a div 1 team says, hey, buddy, if you're interested, we have an open roster spot for you, and you could play on these div 1 matches and right? Well, that it's not like that div 1 team is forcing the lower div player to play on the div 1 team. That doesn't act, that's impossible for it to happen. There has to be the lower div player goes, oh, well, man, I'm having a pretty good time on this lower div team, but there's this little allure or little attractiveness about playing for a div 1 team that they're like, oh man, I do have a chance to play div 1. Okay, I'll go give it a shot, and I'll leave the lower div team. So let's start there with a base conversation starter. Then on top of that, you could also argue though that div 1 teams should just chill and they have their recruitment open. If anybody wants to apply, they can, because you're never going to stop that. I mean, players are always going to want to, they get tired of playing for the lower div teams or they get players get tired of playing for any team for any amount of reasons. But that's another, you have to keep that in mind as well. They don't like the structure. They don't like where they're positioned. They see toxicity or whatever it may be. There's tons of reasons that could possibly happen. Now, poaching, I would say that div 1 teams, gosh, it's I don't know. I'll let you talk about Osiris. What are your thoughts on it?
I was waiting for you to pass the baton because
Yep.
So my viewpoint on poaching is that I personally will not ask other people to join.
Mm-hmm.
I won't do it. I think it is a problem where these higher div clans, they see someone in the lower divs that's constantly dropping, 15, 1600 CS, and they're like, yeah, let's grab him, because there is an allure to these top teams. And I really think the only way to truly fix quote unquote poaching is to have maximum roster sizes. You know, if we're playing, if you're playing 50s, like maybe the most you can have on a roster, on a clan roster, is 100 guys, or you know, like 120 guys. So that way, it's going to spread out the competitive players. So it's not just, oh, Legion and Taco, yeah, they have 150 guys on their server for 50 spots. Like that just doesn't make sense, because there's also players out there that will just, they just want to ride the coattails, and they just want to get a championship whether or not they actually play. And like that's not, to me, that's not in competitive spirit. um you know, it's the same thing if you look at any professional, you know, sports team. It's like, you know, football, they have 53 players on their roster plus the practice squad. Baseball, I think the major leagues, you can have 27 players on your roster. So it's like you have these roster caps, I think, that will really help with spreading out the talent to allow more competitiveness. So it's not just the same 3, 4 teams that are always at the top. Yeah, no, just my thoughts on poaching is that really, if someone comes into my DMs and asks me like, hey man, like, you know, I'm over at, you know, whatever yada yada clan, like I'm not really having a good time, like, do you have room at PZLD? And if we do, like, I'll gladly bring them on. At the same time, if I don't, like, that's when I turn around. I said it earlier. It's like, hey, like, we don't really have room here, but I know that these, you know, these clans are on the up and up. And for those clans that are on the up and up, that are struggling with poaching, well, you combat poaching by always having progress. Um, you know, there's plenty of clans out there that they got up to Div 2 or Div 3 or whatever, and then they kind of stall because they never adjust their gameplay to match the talent and match the new skill of teams that they're going against. So, you know, the lower clans, you can combat that by constantly showing progress and moving up and throughout the divisions and stuff like that. But yeah, I really don't think Div 1 teams that are rostering 125 plus dudes already should be, you know, reaching out into Div 7, Div 6, Div 5, Div 4, whatever, and trying to pull these guys, because it's just, in the end, it just creates that funnel back into, you only have 4 teams that are competitive, and then there's everyone else when
Yeah.
you have these, you know, big tournaments. So.
Yeah, and yeah, poaching it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of what you said as far as I'm not going to actively reach out to all these players and see if they want to join our team. More so, the door is open. If we have a spot, we'll if you know, because I mean, there's some players that are truly just they don't like how their team's moving forward, and they want something different. I mean, to the points that we talked about before with the toxicity and accountability, like, hey, I don't think this team has any level of accountability. There's zero prep going on, and they keep losing. Then, yeah, that player is going to leave. But as far as, yeah, the top teams reaching out to DMs and snagging up a whole bunch of players, you don't like to see that, because, yeah, same thing goes with the salary cap and the various leagues or whatever. You want to keep that level of competitiveness throughout the entire, because that's good for the whole community. If you have just one team winning every single game, then it's like, oh, yay, they won again. Who's going to beat them now? Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and let me make sure I don't miss anything here. Let's see. Hit the Tony agrees. Right ahead. We have. That's why I hope THC League starting in May helps the low div teams. Yeah, I'm all for. Like, somebody asked me before, or I forgot what it was, but something along the lines of, Smithers, do you enjoy casting 30s versus 49s? I love the 30s and 35s matches, because you're seeing the lower div teams grow and mature, and you get to, I mean, I've been following 2-6, for example, for a long time, and it's really nice to see them, how much they've grown over the past year and a half, to having their tanks not knowing how to do front peeking, to now to how to kite hedges and stuff, to now they're kiting hedges and being much more strategically, or they're playing a lot smarter with their armor versus what they did before. And it's really cool to see that development. You want to see teams progress. No one's going to be a Div 1 team day one. It's just not going to happen. You got to develop the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. But it's really nice watching, like, the lower div teams, because that's how it all gets started, right? As far as competitive Helios goes, for the most part. Let's see here. Let's see. Hit 1000 says it's true, but some teams enjoy to have an adult discussion about topics such as politics and religion, but it has to stay impersonal and done in good faith. But there's a fine line between leaders. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a fine line. If you do have a good group of people within the team, by all means, yeah, they should be able to talk about whatever they want. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that get mega triggered about that kind of stuff, and it blows up, and people leave the Discord, and yeah, that's not a good time. Div 1, the most ambitious teams in the concept, but the grind to get there is such an uphill battle, especially with Div 1 teams pumping DMs. Yeah, it's a super grind, and plus I can't imagine what it's like to actually try to get rostered on there once you actually make it, competing against all those other players. Like I would, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Well, Tony, I have to disagree with some of my favorite games have been in the lower bracket. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the good games are in the lower bracket. I mean, I'd be curious how we could develop a roster cap and hell let loose. Each team, let's say for the start of your league, Osiris, where you say, hey, this is the roster cap formula. Like you mentioned with the, what was it, the metric for tracking Hello stats? The dual, what was it called?
Yeah, it's like dual strength.
Dual strength, yeah. If you said you can have a maximum of this dual strength over the last 6 games for your cap weight or for your salary cap.
Yeah, I think that might be too hard to track, to be honest. But I mean, either way, like, if we have that initial, say you're playing 50s and you have a maximum of 100 players, and then I would also give you like a quote unquote practice squad that's like 10 more guys. So that way, if anyone retires, leaves, or whatever, that you have something to pull from. But overall, like I just think that just having a roster cap number, like, yes, you're going to have those higher, skilled players work their way into the upper tiers of teams. And right now, I mean, with the end of World War II and this game kind of, coming to a close here, there's really not a whole lot we can do at this time. But I feel like when Vietnam comes out, you talk about, 200, 300,000 players coming in. Well, now there's going to be, let's just say a good dual strength is 1,500. Well, now instead of there only being a couple hundred, over 1,500, now you're going to have thousands of players that all have really good dual strength. And I think if we have that roster cap, that it's going into Vietnam, that it's really going to allow, almost like March Madness happening right now, where yes, you're going to have your powerhouses, but at the end of the day, like we've seen Cinderella stories where, I mean, Duke almost lost to some no-name school named Siena out of New York that I've never even heard of. And like, so it's like having that cap space, or not cap space, that roster max, would promote that kind of community, I think, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, let's Rufus Butlicker says, I'm ready to be poached. 100K a year salary minimum, though. Gotcha. Guys will literally jump. Oh, that's you. Okay. Well, LBJ doesn't believe poaching is real because I think the term poaching comes from people. Another team, cursing another player, someone leaves on their own for their... Yeah, I think that's where that term definitely comes from. That sounds like a good one there, HT. Also, speaking of lower divisions, if you're a weeknight mashup with a higher division clan, don't rage quit the dang match. You won't improve your game by doing that. Yeah, no rage quit. Don't rage quit during a match, no matter what happens. The only time I think I've seen rage quitting be sort of acceptable is if the lag is unbelievably unbearable. There's been times in Helios where we're like, we can't play this. we literally can't play this map. The tanks are moving like this and then back again, and they're dying, or they're flipping to something where it's like, guys, we can't. This is going to be worthless, and then we'll get 5-0'd and be like, okay, that's done. We're leaving.
Yeah, there was one time in the beginning of a match where I jumped on the arty gun and I loaded into the barrel. Like not even in like either of the seats. Like I was in the barrel, ready to be launched out like a circus clown. Like I was like, I messaged the other guys. I was like, we got to find a new server. Like this isn't going to happen. And that was back in the days where we had to find public lobbies, and there was a trick to it, and we figured it out where you basically turn off crossplay and then have a player join that had crossplay on, and then that player, player that originally joined would back out, and then now you had a fresh server. Yeah, dude, it was. Oh, there's nothing worse. It's happened to me once or twice in my career, but we have burned. So the rule was, I think it was like 2.5 hours max, but we had burned for 2.5 hours trying to get a map, and it didn't happen.
Oh,
And yeah, we were just like, dude, like, sorry guys, we're just gonna reschedule this one. And
damn.
yeah,
That bad. Yeah, that's brutal.
cutting your teeth in console, man.
All right, let's see. Any other questions here? Let's see. Finding players. Embrace the suck. It's really mad simple. Yeah, exactly, Malik. Paying the content commission. It's like some players just want the tag of a comp player to flash around like a badge of honor. Yeah, there's some players that want to shoot for the Div 1 teams and they want that. Oh, I play for Taco. Oh, I play for LGN, and or on the PC side, oh, I'm an ESBT, even though they never get rostered. There's some trust me, I know some people like that. Okay, and then we'll move on to the next two topics here. The know where to place your people. Make sure you, when it comes to your competitive team, we talked about toxicity and accountability a whole bunch, but you want to be able to understand where your people should be playing, where they fit best. You don't, or just get a general feeling of what your priorities are in your team for like meat grind units and high or pretty good KPM flank or non-meat grind units, your highest KPM defense KD. This is general philosophy here that you can obviously tweak to your own liking, but just to get, and then also open up the spots to your teams like Osiris touched upon earlier, as far as getting their concerns as far as, hey, I've been playing SL for the past 20 matches. I would love to play something else for a couple. Artillery, infantry on defense, something just to mix it up. Just get that feedback and don't just roll forward and blindly place people where they may be getting burned out a little bit, okay? Because obviously playing SL for tons and tons of matches back to back to back could get a little bit, tiring. Monitor your stats. I think a lot of teams do this already, but just in case you aren't doing, I mean, the stats nowadays you get pretty much instantly after during the game, and then after the game you could download the Excel sheet. Just have one person on your team that, no doubt, there's got to be at least one person that's pretty savvy with data to be able to bring everything together and just show how everybody is doing. And then make sure you split the players out, who was assigned frontline, defense, because obviously defense aren't going to be your top fraggers. You got to make sure to add some qualitative notes to all that, okay? Don't just go straight off of, oh, he got these top 30 players got the most kills. They get the top 30 roster spots. Obviously, that's dumb. Make sure to always have those extra factors in play for when you are deciding your roster. Okay, and then last topic here, when should you jump ship? We talked about this already a little bit, but we'll go into this a little bit more depth here. When should you jump ship? No sense of wanting to improve. Toxicities through the roof. No support for management. Yes, the team should generally have a good push to want to improve. You gotta want to get better. If you're not getting better, then what are you doing? At least improve on your opening, tweak this, tweak that. I mean, not saying you have to run everybody through a boot camp every single week and tons of trainings, but you just generally have that overall feeling of wanting to get better at the game, so you win more matches and that kind of thing. Toxicity through the roof. Watch out for those toxic players. If you get a sense that somebody is being an absolute just ruining the vibe of the team and putting everybody down, get rid of them. Get rid of them. You got to. And then along with that, no support from management. If you try to raise concerns or try to mention ideas, but you get literally zero support from the rest of the team, then maybe you want to start thinking about possibly moving on to somewhere else where you're going to be more of value to them. Because maybe your value, people don't perceive your value in the current team as being that great. Go ahead, Osiris. Assuming you want to touch on some of these.
Yeah. And this is more on a strategy level of it is, so, we talk about the no sense of wanting to improve, so racking up losses, stuff like that. For you tankers out there, especially in 30s and 35s, you are invaluable or invaluable, I think is the right word.
Yep.
Like you are so important that you you have to support your infantry. I can't tell you how many times, you know, tankers will get in, they blow right by their infantry line and they get themselves killed. And then now you're on a tank disadvantage, and those infantry guys that you were originally supporting are now not only having to fight the infantry, but they're now having to take on tanks that are now barreling down their throats. So, you guys, as much as infantry does, gain the ground and whatnot, but without armor, you guys won't cap points. It just doesn't happen. I mean, I mean, you've streamed a bunch of games. I personally have never seen in my career where you're down 2-3 with 10 minutes left and you have no armor on the field and you cap mid. Like, I've never seen it. So you guys that are in armor, like I'm just harping on you because you guys are so important to the battlefield that talking about jumping ship, like if you're in a clan and you raise these concerns, like I'm talking about armor right now, and you see armor like continuing over and over and over again to abandon really their role in the battlefield because they want to be a hero, or like you talked about two Panthers pushing fourth point for no reason, like that absolutely is detrimental to everyone else on the battlefield that you're playing with. So, but just getting away from that, it's just I just go back to, if you're not, give it a good shot, give it 5-10 games or whatever. But if you're not having fun, then go find somewhere that you will have fun, whether it's in a lower div, a higher div. Don't get poached. Don't get poached. But you know, yeah, if you're just not having fun, man, like this no one gets paid to be here. So our payment is having fun.
Yep.
So, go somewhere where you have it.
Yep.
That's all
Exactly. Yeah. Perfectly said. All right, everybody. Well, we talked about a whole bunch of topics. I'll talk here for a little bit. If you have any last questions you would like us to touch on before we shut her down, over 2.5 hours now, so not too shabby. For a Smithers Talks to cover a whole bunch to hopefully help out some new teams out there and to be able to refer to. But if you have any last questions, pump those in chat. And we'll take a look at the poll here real quick. Which category do you fall into? I've been a comp forever, 63% of today's votes. I've been HL comp for forever. Just joined comp HL team, 15%. I'm interested in comp, 6%. Just a casual player, 16%. Okay, not too shabby. But for those 6% out there, if you want to join the Discord in the video description, the SmithersCast Discord, you could sign up as a PC or console recruit. And then teams, usually console's the best at getting out to people. I've seen people get 10 check marks, 11 check marks on their names. So console's really good. PC, we're struggling a little bit. Need more recruiters on the PC side. Of course, they could be responding in the background. I don't know. But console is definitely more active from the recruitment than the PC side at the moment. But okay, do we have any other questions here? Let's take a look.
We do. Jason Hale 7799 says, I'm like level 160-ish. When should I consider competitive? Now. Easy enough. I do want to add one thing. If you are coming into the competitive scene, the biggest things that you need to have going into the competitive scene is you got to have your AT level 9. Gotta have it happen. If you get stuck playing Russians and you don't have enough guys with AT, things are not going to go well, typically, unless you have good armor and they make their plays. But really, infantry needs to be taken out armor. So having your AT level 9, your I know it's a grind, but assault level 9, your engineer satchel classes, and then if you're Germans, making sure that you have like the FG42 or the STG or whatever. Just make sure that you have your levels spread out if you are infantry. So it goes back into that if you're joining a clan and they're like, hey, like we need somebody that for this, and you can be like, yeah, I got it, or hey, we need somebody for that, and you're like, hey, yeah, I got it. Like that's just going to give you more opportunities to play.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. Dylan says, Osiris, I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Pathfinders took 3 losses and went to casual after that. It was a sad day. Yeah, I mean, some teams just say, you know what, okay, let's not do this anymore. I mean, remember, there's always the option to scrim lower div teams. You don't always have to scrim higher div teams. You could get some practice in with lower div teams and just play around with different things, that kind of thing. John Mark asks, any level can join comp? Yep, 100%. Yeah, we've seen level 50s, 60s come on in, and like Osiris touched upon earlier, you're never going to learn everything you need to know about the game in a pub. And once you join into a competitive side, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I had no idea that there was this level of complexity to Hell Let Loose. It sort of will blow your mind in a way. It really will.
Be ready to take a deep breath.
Yes.
Because it is overwhelming.
100%. I mean, trust me, I played a lot of public commanders, public game commanders over and over and over again. Then I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing in commanding a game. It's easy peasy. Put up the garrisons, make sure you drop bombing runs, airheads. I'm good, man. And then my first game commanding, it was on SME with checkpoint as the middle point. It was G13, very first teams, and GXV. That's right, second team. We faced 501 ES, a team out of Spain, if I remember correctly, and it was checkpoint to cemetery for the allies. And I remember we were down 2-3, and I was in cemetery for like 20 minutes. I didn't say a damn thing. I was just staring at my map like, what do I do? 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 And I remember just being totally dry mouth, cotton mouth, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually one of the SLs in the command chat goes, let's put the mic back down. He goes, Smithers, wake up. And I was like, okay, I got this. That was my first game. But yeah, you're never going to know anything right off the bat. You just got to be prepared to soak it up like a sponge.
Yep. No, and I think the funniest part of that, when I told you I got rolled in 20 minutes on Purple Heart Lane, so this was before the long snipe from Dead Man's Corner all the way down. So we lost mid truck off of opener. Like our other truck got stuck. Right truck did get there, but they were completely outnumbered by that point, and so we lost Carentan Causeway like immediately. And I had drove a supply truck out to Aid Station to get a backup garrison for Madeline Bridge up. And I drop my box and I get out of the truck, and all I see is the barrel of the recon coming over the bush line, and I'm like, well. And like you said, I just sat there in mid HQ, like I got nothing. No idea how to recover from this. We have no garrisons on the map. They're already capping Madeline. Like, yeah, it was. So just know, for all you new comp players, like there's going to be a couple of games where your eyes are going to just be like learn from it, get better. You get used to it, and it's a lot of fun once you do get used to it.
Yeah, and there's some. I mean, you have to understand that some games, kind of like we have a sense of humor about it. There's some games where you just got to understand that you're going to get out-fragged like crazy. You're going to see the map disappear in front of your very eyes, and there's nothing you could do. I mean, at the end of the day, you could try to come up with all the genius strategies in the world, but if your frontline units aren't winning the gunfights and they're getting totally dominated, there's nothing you could do. And as a team, you got to understand that. If there's some teams, like we have a match tomorrow. Well, actually, wait. Okay, let me just say this. There's a match tomorrow that I'm aware of where a very low div team is going up against a very high div team. And you just got to know that you're going to get you're just going to get to beat the crap out of yourself. I mean, you really are. And you just got to face that. It's funny how there's some teams I see on stream that are hilarious that know they're going to get their ass kicked. They just know, and they will just meme it. They'll just make a meme out of the game. They'll turn a warfare mode into offensive mode, and they'll build up each point super heavy with barricades and bunkers and barbed wire. And it's funny, right? Because they're laughing, they're having a good time, and they're building 20 AT guns, trying to get everything up and to hold off our armor. And it's a good time. That's when you know the team is actually enjoying it. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Any other questions we missed?
Don't think we did.
I think we're all good. Okay. Alrighty. I think that's a good point to end on, everybody. Hopefully this was helpful to all those new teams out there as far as just understanding the game a little bit better, what Osiris and I have seen in our experiences. We've seen a lot. And if you have any questions, go drop a comment down below. And of course, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I mean, you should have a nice alias on YouTube that no one knows you by. But if you have any questions, go drop a comment below and we can respond to you. And of course, our DMs are always open as well. Okay. Any last notes, Osiris?
No, just want to say, Smithers, I appreciate you for bringing me on. I hope to, whatever the next topic is, if you want my input, I'll be more than happy to team up. I had a great time here today. I love this type of stuff. I love talking about the game, clearly, and I know you do as well. So I just want to match your energy, and so thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone that's been watching, dropping some questions, and thanks for the love from the community as well.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for watching. And Osiris and I, Osiris, when are you going to be live next?
I have, let's see. Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot and I wasn't ready for it.
You should know your streams, Osiris. Come on now.
I know I should. So I have a match tomorrow, Div 2 for the OSCL. It's SAP versus L201. And that is at... Let me just double check here because they're different time zones. Where is it? Here we are. It's going to be 8 Eastern, 8 U.S. Eastern p.m. tomorrow, SAP versus L201. Looking forward to that one. I've seen a couple of good matches out of SAP with their discipline. L201 always tests the discipline, though, with that backline shenanigans, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I might be picking up a smaller league here tomorrow morning. I'll post it in the corresponding leads and stuff like that for everyone if it wanted to come out tomorrow morning. I just got to verify some of my own availability in real life stuff and all that kind of that. But since you got me with that, Smithers, when are you up next?
Real quick, Osiris, there's actually a game tomorrow if you're interested. It's at, it's at 3 p.m. Eastern if you're interested. CDE versus, I think it's 9AD. Or no, TDR. On TDR. Yeah, at 4 p.m. or at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow if you're interested.
What league is that in?
That is, I think it's a friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to double check because I did. I forgot. I feel bad. I forgot to follow up with this guy. He said that I might actually be streaming at 4.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that was. I just got to figure out exactly what time that was because he's in Berlin. That our clan's based out of, so I just need to double check time zones and stuff. But I will definitely, if I have that availability, I will shoot you a message and go from there. But
okay,
thank you for throwing that out there for me.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'll be live today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and then at 8 p.m. I have 2 matches today. If I look at my calendar real quick here, I have TRR versus 75th Road to Glory, and then TFMC versus S7 at 8 p.m. Road to Glory, of course, is the league where they choose the map right before map flip, so I have no idea what kind of map we'll be doing, and that's what makes it kind of interesting. So it should be good. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you for joining me, and if you have any ideas for next Smithers Talks topics, feel free to drop those in the comments as well, and we could try to touch on them as much as possible. But yeah, okay, everybody. Well, we'll see you next time. Have a good one, buddy.